Chapter 2136. Whoosh! Seeing Xiao Chun fly towards the white mastiff, the many other mastiffs launched themselves at Xiao Chun, trying to block his way. Under the white mastiff's command, the originally clumsy and ferocious mastiffs actually knew when to advance and when to retreat. They knew how to block Xiao Chun, how to delay him, how to disrupt and harass Xiao Chun. This made Xiao Chun's advance very difficult. That white mastiff stood at the top and did not back down. It only looked at Xiao Chun coldly, like it wanted to give him hope. As Xiao Chun arranged his troops, the mastiffs in the other directions also took the opportunity to surround him. Before Xiao Chun advanced halfway, the alloy battle armor that he wore turned black from the mastiff's blood. Mastiffs were not made of flesh and blood. Although it was called blood, it was actually just the strange liquid in their bodies. Halfway through, Xiao Chun was horrified to discover that the distance between him and the white mastiff did not shrink. Instead, it increased significantly. What's going on? After a moment of shock, Xiao Chun suddenly understood. It turned out that when this white mastiff was commanding the black flame beasts, the black flame beasts did not move at all. It turned out that when the white mastiff commanded the other mastiffs to change their angle, it looked like they were continuously killing mastiffs and pressing in. In reality, Xiao Chun was being led by the nose by the mastiff. As he advanced and retreated, he had already changed his original direction. If Xiao Chun had not startled awake, he would not have reached the white mastiff even if he killed for the rest of his life. Such a scheme sent a chill down Xiao Chun's spine. Even some intelligent humans would not be able to come up with such a scheme. To think that the white mastiff was so smart. Damn it. When Xiao Chun thought about how he got tricked by a dog, he could not help feeling angry. Coupled with the fact that the continuous battles were all in vain, it caused a trace of fluctuation to appear in his tranquil state of mind. When Xiao Chun looked up, he saw that the white mastiff was still looking at him coldly. However, to Xiao Chun now, there was an additional trace of mockery in its gaze. Calm down. If I am not careful, I might die here. Every month, outstanding talents from the outside world would fall in the faux god world, losing their originally great futures. In the past, Xiao Chun felt astonished. Human cultivators had many trump cards and various means. How could they still die to faux beasts? Now he himself had fallen into such a dangerous situation. If he was the slightest bit careless, he would lose his life. It had to be said that it was somewhat ironic. Xiao Chun withdrew from the state of martial and soul as one. Given the current situation, before his veritable essence energy and soul energy ran out, he would not be able to escape. With the state of martial and spirit as one, Xiao Chun would not be able to kill all the mastiffs. He might as well save some energy for the white mastiff. There was no way out. The mastiffs were already chasing after them. Their only chance of survival was to charge forward. I don't believe that I, Xiao Chun, will die under the siege of a bunch of mad dogs. Xiao Chun snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, a scroll slowly unfurled. It slowly rose into the sky. When it fully unfurled, a Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram appeared in the sky. The universe origin true flame, and the heavenly snow divine flame chased each other in the sky. Yin-Yang, the 4 divisions, the 8 trigrams, all sorts of mysterious phenomena appeared. Xiao Chun held his saber with his right hand and raised his left palm to the sky, circulating the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram with all his might. Immediately, an overwhelming might spread out from the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram. Xiao Chun quickly withdrew his saber, and the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram descended from the sky. The Taiji force field appeared under Xiao Chun's feet, trapping the mastiffs. Xiao Chun moved between yin and yang, moving erratically. He raised his saber and swung it, continuously killing the mastiffs. The snow-white mastiff felt somewhat flustered. In this Taiji force field, it could no longer command the mastiffs. Trapped in the Taiji force field, the mastiffs moved very slowly. They still had to block Xiao Chun's saber light, and could not even take care of themselves, unable to carry out the white mastiff's commands. Without the white mastiff's command, the berserk mastiffs reverted to their original nature. Their threat to Xiao Chun was greatly reduced. Xiao Chun had no choice but to use the trump card that he had prepared for this white mastiff in advance. Whoosh! Xiao Chun's figure moved like lightning as he controlled the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram. weaving through the many mastiffs, advancing quickly. Soon, the white mastiff arrived before him, resolving the mundane. Without any hesitation, Xiaochen entered the state of martial and soul as one and soared into the air. Then, with his sevenfold killing qi, he executed resolving the mundane. However, something strange happened. Xiaochen was already very fast. However, that white mastiff seemed to have figured out when Xiaochen was going to make his move. It was like an experienced cultivator. Before the eternal and inextinguishable saber light completely formed, the white mastiff pounced over like a bolt of white lightning. It pounced over like a bolt of white lightning, roaring in midair and slapping its claw over. This claw contained many chaotic great daos. It was very crude and extremely primitive. However, the great daos were vast and mighty, directly shattering Xiaochen's incomplete resolving the mundane. Pussy. Xiaochen nearly spat out a mouthful of blood as he moved back. Incredulity flashed in his eyes. Without waiting for the other party to attack, Xiaochen materialized Firmament's Rage with his left hand, and threw a palm strike. The white mastiff wanted to charge forward and kill Xiaochen. However, a huge palm containing the Tao of the five-element divine lightning struck it. The snow-white mastiff's huge body was smashed to the ground by the palm. The white mastiff also showed shock in its eyes, clearly surprised. It was like a seasoned hunter, roaring continuously. The many mastiffs that were not trapped in the Taiji Yin-Yang flame diagram leaped into the air, moving as nimbly as birds. Leaping through the air, they were as agile as birds as they slowly surrounded him. Buddha in the mortal realm, quelling the seas and desolation. Xiaochen snorted coldly, and a swastika appeared on his forehead. Then, ancient Buddhist chants reverberated. A hole appeared in the black demonic clouds in the sky. Then, the supreme killing Buddha descended and pushed its palms in all directions. Bang! In an instant, the 1,000-odd mastiffs flying over were all knocked back. Cracks appeared on their physical bodies. Entering hell. Xiaochen chose to fight the white mastiff so that it could not care about anything else, unable to command the other mastiffs. Seeing the white mastiff use the same trick, how could Xiaochen let it do as it wished? He executed Buddha in the mortal realm, and knocked back the 1,000-odd mastiffs. Then he held up an evil dragon materialized from the Azura hell, and chopped down. With this saber strike, a world-destroying evil dragon appeared. It bared its fangs and claws, looking like it wanted to swallow the world. Although the white mastiff was strong, it was still a foe beast in the end. It could not practice martial techniques like human cultivators. This was Xiaochen's strongest saber strike. It instantly gained a suppressive advantage as it pressed down. Boom! The evil dragon knocked back the huge mastiff for 5,000 kilometers like it was a snowy mountain. After it landed, another loud sound rang out. A huge pit appeared in the ground, and a pillar of flame shot up into the sky. After the Azura hell disappeared, Xiaochen wore the alloy battle armor, looking very heroic. He held his saber and appeared very tyrannical. Whoosh! 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 Divine Firmament 9 variations, traceless lightning shadow. He left behind only a few faint purple marks. Then 5,000 kilometers away, Xiaochen charged over at lightning speed. Roar! A terrifying sound wave suddenly rang out, and visible ripples spread out. Caught off guard, Xiaochen held his saber horizontally in front of him and got knocked back. Whoosh! 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 After stabilizing himself, Xiaochen tightly grasped his tyrant saber, and swung it in the air a few times, scattering the remaining sound wave energy on him. After a few swings, saber winds howled, and a strong wind blew in all directions. Xiaochen's long hair fluttered about, and blood leaked out of a corner of his lips. Doubt flashed in his eyes. This white mastiff was overly strong. Mastiffs were strong because they moved in packs. They were strong because of the madness in their bones. Individually, any heaven-defying sovereign personage could easily crush them. While Xiaochen's cultivation was not high, he did not fear fighting a half-step sovereign emperor alone. The white mastiff placed its two palms on the edge of the huge pit. Then it leaped up and charged at Xiaochen again. Let's see how strong you are. A golden light burned in Xiaochen's eyes as he instantly activated his blue dragon bloodline. At the same time, he entered the state of martial and soul as one again. Whoosh! Whoosh. Xiao Chen swung the tyrant's saber in his hand a few more times. Saber lights flickered in this black and white world, appearing dazzling. Under the effects of his great desolate Ian bloodline, Xiao Chen activated martial and soul as one. With a few random swings, he kicked up a strong wind that made the ferocious white mastiff stagger. 10,000 Dragons picture. The 10,000 Dragons picture appeared indistinctly behind Xiao Chen. Boundless dragon roars resounded as Xiao Chen fought an intense battle with this white mastiff in his peak state. There was no time. He needed to deal with this white mastiff quickly. The mastiff pack that he knocked back earlier was closing in again. However, even though Xiao Chen was in his peak state, he did not have the strength to execute any of his martial techniques. He had already executed his strongest Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique earlier, and could not execute it again within a short time. I still have the flawless saber Dao. In the time it took for a spark to fly, Xiao Chen saw the mastiff lolling its fangs and charging over. So he decided to use his flawless saber Dao as the final strike. The flawless saber Dao was not about perfection. It was about a heart that pursued perfection. Heart as a saber, body as a saber, hair as a saber, will as a saber. Ding, dang, dang, dang. Xiao Chen brandished his saber. His steps were like that of an immortal, moving nimbly and refined. Strands of saber light flickered on Xiao Chen's body. 3,000 strands of hair were 3,000 saber lights. Every part of the alloy battle armor was a resplendent saber light. A zither-like saber hum rang out in the 5,000 kilometers of desolate plains. Just at this moment, Xiao Chen suddenly remembered the first painting that senior fiendish saber, Shimu, gave him. Lush mountains, clear waters, white clouds, and wild cranes flying in the sky. If there is no one in the painting, for whom are the green mountains? If there is no one in the painting, for whom are the green waters flowing? I understand now. A bright light suddenly flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes as he listened to the zither-like saber hum echoing in the 5,000 kilometers of desolate plains. It reverberated in the mountains, wanton in the wind, rejoicing with all things in this vast world. However, if one opened one's eyes and looked, the mountains were mountains, the water was water. The most ordinary scenery in the world was just that. If there is no one in the painting, for whom are they? The green mountains are the green mountains. The green waters are the green waters. The white clouds are the white clouds. All things have spirits. All things are fiends. What is a fiend? Xiao Chen reared his head back and laughed. Then he suddenly gave up on the white mastiffs and pointed his saber at the sky. What is a fiend? I rejoice with all things. The world fell silent. In the next moment, the vast desolate plains rejoiced with Xiao Chen. Boundless saber lights burst out of the mountains and the ground. At this moment, all things rejoiced together. Resplendent saber lights filled the vast desolate plains. Aside from Xiao Chen, the others were pierced by thousands of saber lights. When the saber lights scattered, all the mastiffs were destroyed, leaving only countless drops of primeval divine liquid floating in the surroundings. Chapter 2137. The green mountains were the green mountains, and the white clouds were the white clouds. Bloodline activation, alloy battle armor, martial and soul as one. In his peak state, he had to use his strongest killing move. What is a fiend? I rejoice with all things. With just one move, Xiao Chen killed all the mastiffs within 500,000 kilometers in his strongest state. As his bloodline slowly faded, Xiao Chen exited the state of martial and soul as one. He should have exhausted his veritable essence energy and soul energy, but he felt refreshed and carefree. However, he felt refreshed and carefree, and his entire body was surging with power. I broke through. Xiao Chen broke through the final bottleneck of a great perfection sovereign personage with this moment of comprehension. He became a peak sovereign personage, sweeping away all his fatigue and weakness. When one's strength improved, no amount of resources could compare to an instant of comprehension. The old saying was indeed true. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Xiao Chen's figure flashed, moving as fast as lightning as he arrived beside the white mastiff's corpse. The white mastiff was merely a half-step sovereign emperor. Given Xiao Chen's strength, he would not feel any pressure fighting it alone. Foe beasts were different from humans. They did not know martial techniques or chaotic Dao domains, much less mental states. Within the same cultivation realm, a mediocre person would not be a match for a faux beast. However, if a faux beast was not special, it would not be sufficient to face an outstanding talent. However, this white mastiff before Xiaochen forced Xiaochen into danger several times. Even fighting it alone was somewhat difficult. If Xiaochen had not comprehended the painting that the faux god expert fiendish saber, Shimu left behind at the last moment, it would have been a Pyrrhic victory. How to deal with the remaining mastiffs would have been a problem. Its intelligence was monstrous, inspiring fear. Xiaochen felt very curious about what was so special about this white mastiff for it to be so difficult to deal with. Compared to the other mastiffs, the white mastiff's corpse dissipated very slowly. Most of its body still remained. What is this? Xiaochen raised his eyebrows slightly. A black jade pendant appeared in the white mastiff's disappearing head. This jade pendant was clearly refined by a cultivator. A faux beast would not have something like this. Xiaochen's expression immediately changed and became somewhat gloomy. This white mastiff was being controlled by someone. From the mastiff's strange escape, someone had set up a trap for him, waiting for him to jump into it. No, perhaps from the moment he left the Holy Region's divine capital, he had already been targeted. After killing mastiffs for a month, someone finally found an opportunity to set up this trap. If Xiaochen died, it would be a perfect plan. Who knew how many outstanding talents had died at the hands of faux beasts? Over the past month, many people had personally witnessed him madly killing mastiffs. Dying to the mastiff's vengeance was completely justifiable and would not arouse any suspicions. It was simply flawless. The black jade pendant no longer had any spiritual qi. It looked like a black stone, a broken stone. Xiaochen picked it up and looked around. The person who came had planned this meticulously. Clearly, Xiaochen had many misgivings. He feared exposing his identity or that his true body was not in the ice-fire wasteland at all. Who will kill me? As Xiaochen looked at the black jade pendant, he entered deep thought. His thoughts raced as he thought of many things. Many people's faces appeared in his mind. However, in the end, Xiaochen suddenly laughed. See. Xiaochen clenched his right fist, and the black jade pendant in his hand shattered into dust. It did not matter who it was. The important thing was that he was still alive. As long as he could survive, the truth would come to light sooner or later. Overthinking was not good. Now that Xiaochen had gained enlightenment and made a breakthrough in his cultivation, he gained many more comprehensions of the martial Dao. There was no need to waste time on this. Demon Blood Vulture, come out! Xiaochen woke up the Demon Blood Vulture. Now that he had broken through the bottleneck of his cultivation, he no longer needed this vast amount of primeval divine liquid. Master, what's wrong? After waking up, the Demon Blood Vulture appeared somewhat weakly. However, when it saw the densely packed primeval divine liquid, it was stunned. My goodness! Master, how did you do it? To think that you killed all these mastiffs. Xiaochen glanced at the corpse of the white mastiff, which had yet to completely disappear, and said, Stop speaking nonsense. Quickly swallow them all. They are all yours. These are the white mastiff's corpses. They are also yours. I won't fight with you over them. The Demon Blood Vulture immediately felt like it was dreaming. Really? When have I ever joked? Gagaga. Thank you, Master. In that case, I won't stand on ceremony. A bunch of trash. In the end, Grandpa will still consume them. Perhaps I can take advantage of this opportunity to make a breakthrough. The originally weak Demon Blood Vulture immediately perked up and let out strange cries. Its cries sounded incredibly arrogant, as if it had forgotten itself. Xiaochen thought for a while and looked for a quiet place to land. Then he took out the first painting that Lu Benwei had given him. Lush mountains, clear water, white clouds, and wild cranes flying in the sky. In the past, Xiaochen could not understand it. He could only vaguely sense that the painting contained an indescribable Dao. This should be the inheritance of some special saber technique. However, Lu Benwei did not say anything, and Xiaochen had not even seen fiendish saber Shimu. When Xiaochen focused and brought out his flawless saber Dao to its limits, he finally understood. Perhaps I can use this opportunity to complete my Saber Dao in one go, and comprehend the Dao of the Saber Dao. A bright light flashed in Xiaoqian's eyes as he stared at the painting. The lush mountains, clear water, and white clouds in the painting all came to life, demonstrating his Dao to him. Xiaoqian gently loosened his grip, and the painting floated in front of him without any external force. All things rejoiced together. This is my comprehension. My flawless Saber Dao clearly benefited a lot from this. If I can make another breakthrough from this and gain some more comprehension, I will definitely be able to break through to the Dao of the Saber Dao. The expression in Xiaoqian's eyes became increasingly resolute. As he stared at the painting, he slowly became immersed in it, forgetting some things. He forgot about his flawless Saber Dao, where he was, and his original purpose. It was like he had entered the painting, becoming entranced. Whoosh! After some time, the painting before Xiaoqian burst into flames. He startled awake, feeling like he was dreaming. Just earlier, he felt like he had a very long dream. In the dream, he turned into stone, flowing water, and a tall mountain in one moment. It was not that his soul had been imprisoned. Instead, he had really turned into a tall mountain and flowing water. In the dream, he could feel the majesty of the mountain, the joy of the water, the tranquility of the trees, and all sorts of emotions. In the dream, Xiaoqian had forgotten everything. Now that he suddenly startled awake, the painting before him burned. Xiaoqian quickly stepped forward, wanting to put out the flame. This was something that the foe god had given him. It was hard to say how much it was worth. The crucial thing was that the foe god had not stated clearly whether he had given it to Xiaoqian or not. If the other party wanted it back, Xiaoqian would feel like crying. However, the flame burned too quickly. By the time Xiaoqian reacted, the painting had already burned up, turning into ashes. The demon blood vulture slowly descended from the sky. Xiaoqian sighed helplessly and asked, "How long did I comprehend the Dao for?" "Master, you maintained that strange posture for a total of 10 days. Just 10 days? Why do I feel like several hundred years have passed?" Xiaoqian said softly, feeling disappointed and frustrated. Then he looked at his surroundings again, feeling very mysterious. The entire ice-fire wasteland seemed different to his eyes. As he looked around curiously, Xiaoqian was shocked to discover that this world was truly different. Without any effort, he could feel the flow of everything. He could even see the wind. The wind was formless. Without any reference, it would be impossible to discover it. However, in Xiaoqian's eyes, the wind was like a child jumping around. This feeling was very mysterious. Although his combat prowess did not increase, the wondrous feeling was indescribable. Unfortunately, my Saber Dao domain is still lacking. I feel that I should be able to grasp the Saber Dao domain. If the foe god gives me pointers, I will be able to immediately comprehend it. Shaking his head, Xiaoqian turned his head to look at the demon blood vulture. He was shocked to discover that the demon blood vulture's eyes had turned completely golden. A faint golden line appeared on all of its tail feathers. Its appearance seemed to have changed slightly. What is this? Many thanks for Master's help. My mutated bloodline seems to have improved. I feel like I'm reverting to my ancestors. Right now, my strength is 50% higher than 10 days ago. Xiaoqian smiled and said, "Your improvement is even greater than mine. I don't dare to compare myself to Master." The demon blood vulture now submitted to Xiaoqian. No matter how cocky it was, it did not dare to appear before Xiaoqian. Just at this moment, Xiaoqian's expression changed slightly. He looked at the wasteland under his feet and muttered, "Strange. Why do I feel like the ground is moving up and down like waves?" "No, Master?" Chapter 2138. After comprehending all things rejoicing together, Xiaoqian felt like he gained a new ability that allowed him to see through the essence of all things. However, Xiaoqian grasped martial and soul as one, allowing him to bring out more than 100% of his strength without any worries. The demon blood vulture reminded Xiaoqian. Then, the wind blew on the ashes of the painting, revealing a scarlet light. Just as Xiaoqian felt uncertain, the blood flowed into Xiaoqian's palm. His palm immediately gave off a scarlet light, and images of mountains, rivers, white clouds, and wild cranes flashed in his mind. Xiaochen saw through the underground in a nearly transparent manner. Aside from the flame veins, he even saw several hidden ores and divine materials. In that instant, Xiaochen saw through the entire ice-fire wasteland. The ground turned transparent in his eyes. Xiaochen frowned slightly as he bent over and touched the ground with one hand. Does Senior Shimu know about this? When the ashes completely dissipated, a drop of blood was revealed. Strange. Xiaochen thought for a while. He could take this opportunity to absorb it and nurture his heavenly snow divine flame and universe origin true flame. How cold. If I did not have the alloy battle armor to protect me, I would have committed a great taboo by coming down like this. As Xiaochen muttered to himself, he raised his eyebrows and sighed softly. The ground rippled like waves in his eyes again. After a while, Xiaochen let go. He had already recorded a map in his mind. His veritable essence energy surged and scattered the ice. Xiaochen felt some lingering fear. He had only descended 10 kilometers, and he had not gone far before he ran into a problem. Just this point alone allowed him to surpass many half-step sovereign emperors. Whoosh! Right now, Xiaochen revealed an expression of joy. It turned out that the ice continent of the ice-fire wasteland contained 18 crisscrossing flame veins. Blood represented hatred, anger, and pain, which often brought about negative emotions. However, the feeling that this drop of blood brought about was very strange, but not evil. When the blood merged with his palm, and all the images disappeared from his mind, a saber technique appeared in Xiaochen's mind, all things rejoicing together. The deeper one went, the harder the ice became. After reaching a depth of 10,000 meters, the hardness of the underground ice was comparable to divine materials. Even an Imperial King expert would find it difficult to force their way through. The same scene appeared twice. Even if it was really a hallucination, there was definitely something strange about it. As a crack appeared on the ground, Xiaochen jumped down without hesitation. For ordinary martial artists, being able to display 80% of their strength was already extremely impressive. Those who could display 100% were few and far between. The alloy battle armor was now at 2-star. Raising the alloy battle armor's star rank was an extremely arduous task. Xiaochen needed a vast amount of divine materials. Then he had to hand the gloves to the Heavenly Alliance to use a secret method to refine them. After carefully comprehending the fiendish saber inheritance, Xiaochen collected his thoughts and looked at his left hand. In addition to martial and spirit as one, and my many trump cards, my true strength right now, I should be between a half-step sovereign emperor and a false emperor. However, I have never seen a true false emperor before, so it is not easy to test my true strength. The instant Xiaochen raised his hand, the various mysterious phenomena vanished. The ice-fire wasteland returned to normal in Xiaochen's eyes. As Xiaochen watched, one of the 9 stars around the divine characters lit up when the blood stopped flowing. Why did the painting burn? It was not just Xiaochen who was comprehending it. The mountains and rivers in the painting also improved rapidly. Xiaochen suddenly startled awake. All things had spirits. The mountains and rivers in the painting that Senior Shimu gave him all turned into fiends. Shimu was the one who gave Xiaochen the painting. Clearly, the fiend blood had such a miraculous effect because of Senior Shimu's opportunity. Many cracks immediately appeared in the ground. Xiaochen's gentle palm strike shook the wasteland for 5,000 kilometers around, as terrifying as an earthquake. The ice-fire wasteland had existed for many epochs. It was very normal for true divine materials to be born there. Clearly, the wasteland did not really move like waves. The ground was still flat. Xiaochen closed his eyes and touched the ground with one hand. The scarlet divine characters on the back of his right glove suddenly released a red light that seeped into the ground. Right now, the only problem was how to enter the ice-fire wasteland's underground. Whoosh! Did I see wrong? I vaguely obtained a fiendish saber inheritance. Xiaochen placed his right hand on the ground again and activated the scarlet divine characters. A wondrous scene appeared again. Senior Shimu truly lives up to his reputation. Under the wasteland made of ice, there were 18 flames that looked like blood vessels, crisscrossing in the underground, forming a complicated network. It's here. However, the painting could no longer support these creatures. So it burned up. leaving only this drop of fiend blood. This place was a weak node in the complex underground. A single move would cause the entire body to move. There would always be weak points in the vast ice-fire wasteland. As long as one found the weak points and connected them together, one could enter the underground. Master, what is that? A bright light flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. After some thought he said, now that I am a peak sovereign personage and comprehended this fiendish saber, all things rejoicing together, a heaven-defying sovereign personage is no longer a match for me. My cultivation is already close to that of a half-step sovereign emperor. I just have not merged my Tao domain and soul energy to form a divine seal. Xiao Chen needed to figure out what was going on with this drop of fiend blood. What a mysterious feeling. Xiao Chen looked carefully, and saw that the ground had indeed not moved. He could not help finding it strange. What was going on? Xiao Chen had already asked around about Shimu in the Holy Domain's divine capital. He knew that this senior was an extremely strong foe god. Shimu's saber techniques were superb. He could be considered the peak of peak among peak foe god bladesmen. On the contrary, there was a trace of gentleness that did not repel him. Xiao Chen felt startled. He had never experienced such a thing before. It looked like he had to meet Senior Shimu after he returned. There was a total of 9 grades of primal chaos level flames. Right now, Xiao Chen's Heavenly Snow Divine Flame and Universe Origin True Flame had both reached rank 5. After looking around to verify his surroundings, Xiao Chen coldly smacked the ground with his palm. This is the blood of the legendary mountain and river spirits. Xiao Chen could bring out more than 100% of his strength only under special conditions, or with the help of medicinal pills. He could not avoid the side effects. No wonder it is called the Ice-Fire Wasteland. Perhaps the true core of this continent is the 18 yin-yang flame veins. After thousands or tens of thousands of years, they form this ice-fire wasteland. The ground is the ice continent, and the sky is empty with snowflakes made of flames. Whoosh! 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 Xiao Chen released his hand, and his figure flashed. Then he arrived at a seemingly ordinary spot. This immediately startled Xiao Chen. His alloy battle armor had already reached 2-star. What was the origin of this drop of blood left behind after the painting burned? Crack! Crack! However, Xiao Chen had used the divine characters dyed red by the fiend blood to see through the entire ice-fire wasteland. To him, this was not too difficult. Furthermore, this inheritance was even stronger than Lu Bunwei's, as Xiao Chen had obtained a drop of fiend blood, perfectly obtaining his unique inheritance. The fluctuations that Xiao Chen saw earlier were actually flame energy surging and expanding underground. That energy was extremely horrifying. It felt like it could topple the entire ice-fire wasteland at any moment, shattering it. However, a drop of fiend blood actually raised the alloy battle armor by 1 grade. In the Holy Domain's divine capital, one needed to spend large amounts of faux god coins to exchange for all sorts of flames to raise the grade of a flame. However, Xiao Chen grasped martial and soul as one, merging the will of soul and the will of martial Tao. He could easily bring out 100% of his combat prowess. With some effort, he could bring out 120%, even 150% of his strength. However, since Xiao Chen was already here, there was no reason for him to shrink back. However, Xiao Chen did not pay attention to all this. He only focused on finding the weak spots underground. That drop of blood merged with Xiao Chen's palm. Then, the Heavenly Alliance's insignia, formed by 7 pieces of gold, started flowing like blood on the back of his alloy battle armor. Earlier, Xiao Chen had sensed that these 18 flame veins were yin and yang. 9 flame veins represented extreme cold, and the other 9 were contradictory extreme heat. When Xiao Chen landed, a chill assaulted him from all directions. A layer of frost covered the alloy battle armor. With every few steps, the frost turned into ice, slowing Xiao Chen's movement somewhat. Crack! Unexpectedly, the painting that fiendish saber Shimu gave Xiao Chen hit a strange drop of blood. Chapter 2139. The earlier palm strike struck the node of this 50 kilometers of desolate plain, shaking the ground and creating large cracks. After he landed, he found himself in front of a newly formed underground tunnel. Then according to his memory, Xiaochen found this tunnel. According to his memory, Xiaochen advanced through the many branches of the underground ice tunnel. Xiaochen moved very slowly. As it was too cold, he had to stop occasionally to remove the ice from his alloy battle armor. 1 hour later, a dead end appeared in front of Xiaochen, blocked by a thick layer of ice. At this depth, the underground ice was already as hard as divine material. Logically speaking, it should be very hard to break. However, if Xiaochen did not go the wrong way, the ice wall in front should be a weak spot. Xiaochen soared into the air and punched. He immediately felt his palm go numb, which was very uncomfortable. The ice blocking the way only left a faint mark, not much of a ripple. Did I remember wrongly? Xiaochen let out a soft cry of surprise. Then he prepared to throw another punch. Kasie! Kasie! Cracks appeared in the ice wall in front. Then it exploded with a loud bang. Xiaochen felt that something was wrong. He crossed his arms in front of him, and the formation in the alloy battle armor activated automatically, forming a lightning shield in front of him. Pa! However, it was still too late. Pa! The impact of the explosion instantly knocked Xiaochen into the air. The entire underground once again shook violently. The ice above their heads seemed to be swaying as well, and pieces of ice and rocks kept falling off. Xiaochen relaxed his hands and took a look. Then his expression changed slightly as he executed the Divine Firmament 9 variations. Like a sudden clap of thunder, he dashed towards the open passageway in front of him. Just as he disappeared, a figure appeared in front of him. The instant he disappeared, the ice wall behind him collapsed. When Xiaochen looked back, the path he had come in was completely blocked. The terrain changed again. It will probably be difficult to turn back now. When Xiaochen jumped down, he did not think too much about it. Now he discovered that it was indeed a problem. I should continue. As long as I can benefit the Heavenly Snow Divine Flame and the Universe Origin True Flame, it will all be worth it. Following the route in his memory, Xiaochen broke through the weak points one by one and connected them together, going deeper and deeper. The terrain fluctuated for a few times. The fighters who were training above ice and snow wilderness were all scared and didn't know what had happened. Found it. After a few twists and turns, Xiaochen finally found a flame vein after walking underground for 6 hours. When Xiaochen lowered his head and looked down, the surging flame vein was pure and dense. It was like a surging river flowing continuously. Even though Xiaochen was 10,000 li high up in the sky, he could still feel the surging heat waves assaulting his face. Fortunately, he had alloy battle armor. Alloy was different from other divine materials, and it could not withstand heat. If the armor was made of other divine materials, even a postnatal divine body wouldn't be able to withstand it. Not only that, but the alloy war armor also had a very good heat insulation effect, greatly reducing the pressure on him. Such pure flame energy. Pleasant surprise filled Xiaochen's eyes. He could not truly feel it when he was above ground. However, when he observed it up close, Xiaochen knew that he had picked up a treasure. As long as Xiaochen could absorb a tenth of the flame in this flame vein, his universe origin true flame would probably immediately advance to rank 6. That would save him at least 100,000 faux god coins. As Xiaochen stood above, his emotions fluctuated. He still felt like he was dreaming. He really had to thank the person controlling the mastiff to kill him. If not for that person, how could he have comprehended all things rejoicing together? How could he have comprehended the painting and obtained that drop of fiend blood? Otherwise, without the help of the fiend blood, Xiaochen would not dare to say that he was a faux god. No matter how strong a divine vein realm sovereign emperor was, it would take at least 100 years to reach this place. Of course, it was more likely that they could not sense the 18 flame veins under the ice-fire wasteland. Boom. Xiaochen opened his palm, and a clump of golden flame appeared. This was the universe origin true flame's origin flame, the heavenly flame that he obtained in the Kunlun realm. Go. Xiaochen gently pushed, and this clump of origin flame slowly descended, hovering above the flame vein. The flame vein surged endlessly like a gushing river. Xiaochen sat down cross-legged, and his soul energy surged. Immediately, the origin flame spun endlessly. A suction force was emitted, and a loud sound rang out. Waves of fire surged up from the flame vein below, rushing towards the origin flame. The primordial true fire's origin flame was like a cultivator absorbing source liquid. It excitedly absorbed and refined the flames of the flame vein below. Xiaochen closed his eyes and circulated his energy, unhurriedly controlling the universe origin true flame's origin flame to absorb and refine the flame in the flame vein below. How slow. 1 hour later, Xiaochen suddenly opened his eyes. The flame vein was vast and boundless. It was like the sea. Although the origin flame absorbed it quickly, it was still insignificant. At this rate, Xiaochen would need to spend 2 or 3 years before he could absorb 1/10 of this flame vein. No, I can't wait that long. Determination flashed in Xiaochen's eyes. Then he stood up and looked at the flame vein, entering deep thought. The flame vein surged and surged nonstop. Where was it heading? Are the other flame veins also surging endlessly, gathering in the same direction? If I can find the location where these flame veins gather, I can save a lot of effort. However, just this one flame vein was somewhat unbearable. How horrifying would the location where 18 flame veins gathered be? Go for it. After hesitating for only a second, Xiaochen made up his mind. He leaped up and withdrew the universe origin true flame's origin flame into his body, then jumped into the flame vein. Whoosh! The flame vein surged at least 10 times faster than Xiaochen's movement technique. Amid the surging flame, Xiaochen used his veritable essence energy to fully activate the alloy battle armor, allowing himself to avoid being swallowed up by the flame vein. That was close. Fortunately, my alloy battle armor has reached 2-star. Otherwise, I would not have been able to endure it. Using the alloy battle armor, Xiaochen barely managed to endure the flame vein's torrent. Then he heaved a sigh of relief. All that remained was to follow the flow of the flame vein and enter the place where the 18 flame veins gathered. As time passed, Xiaochen found it increasingly unbearable. Even with the alloy battle armor protecting him, he could not withstand it. Even with the alloy battle armor, his physical body was already bright red, looking like it was about to be cooked. Xiaochen knew that he was getting closer to the other flame veins. The greatest challenge would be when the other flame veins gathered. The 18 flame veins were split into yin and yang. 9 were extreme yin and 9 were extreme yang. They crisscrossed, appearing complicated and ever-changing. Master, your alloy battle armor seems to be softening. The demon blood vulture's voice rang out in Xiaochen's mind. When he looked carefully, he saw that the alloy battle armor was indeed slowly softening. Such a discovery immediately flustered Xiaochen. This was the alloy battle armor's self-protection method. If the alloy battle armor could not endure it in the end, it would liquefy and flow back into the gloves. At that time, Xiaochen would be in big trouble. What should I do? Without the protection of the alloy battle armor, I will melt in less than 7 minutes in this flame vein. Even if the acquired divine body awakened once, it was still a body of flesh and blood. Unless one was a true pure-blooded true dragon, one would not be able to endure such heat waves. The rate at which the alloy battle armor softened suddenly increased. This startled Xiaochen. Oh no! I'm about to reach the place where the 18 flame veins gather. It's over. I'm going to die in this damn place. The alloy battle armor softened into a silver liquid and slowly flowed back into the gloves. However, Xiaochen still headed for the flame veins involuntarily. The 18 flame veins that swept through the entire ice-fire wasteland gathered here. Just one flame vein was already somewhat unbearable for Xiaochen. Now he was at the place where the 18 flame veins gathered, and had lost the protection of the alloy battle armor. How could he survive? With this thought, Xiaochen felt that his life would end here. His physical body grew hotter. Xiaochen's consciousness turned blurry from the roasting, and his breathing became weak. In his daze, Xiaochen's physical body sank continuously. Suddenly, a loud sound rang out. Xiaochen understood that the 18 flame veins had completely gathered together. Then he fainted. In his daze, Xiaochen opened his eyes and discovered that he was at the bottom of a lake. His physical body was swimming slowly. I'm not dead. 9 flame veins were about to roast me to death. To think that 18 flame veins gathered and did not kill me on the spot. As far as the eye could see, it was actually a clear lake. Am I dead or alive? Why am I hallucinating? The place where the 18 flame veins gathered is actually a lake. Chapter 2140. Illusion or reality? The ice-fire wasteland, where the 18 flame veins gathered, was actually a clear lake. The light and shadow were mottled, and the lake water was distorted. It was both a dream and an illusion. Xiaochen was bewildered. For a moment he didn't know whether he was dead or alive. Feeling confused, Xiaochen suddenly discovered that the little demonic qi veritable essence energy and spiritual energy veritable essence energy in his body were circulating on their own, forming a weak taiji force field around him. A taiji diagram even appeared under his feet. He didn't die. Xiaochen was sure that he wasn't dead. Everything he saw was real and not an illusion. Slowly calming down, Zhang Xian looked around and fell into deep thought. This lake is not water in the ordinary sense, Xiaochen suddenly understood. 9 flame veins were extreme yin, and 9 flame veins were extreme yang. The place where yin and yang met was actually a stretch of primal chaos. In reality, it contained chaotic force, making it extremely dangerous. If an ordinary person tried to sneak in recklessly, they would definitely die. His yin and yang would definitely be reversed, and he would not be able to control everything about his body. In the best-case scenario, he would suffer from cultivation deviation. In the worst-case scenario, he would die within the chaotic flame vein. The only reason he could survive was because of the taiji force field. Xiaochen separated the flame veins, which were in a state of primal chaos, into yin and yang. Then he found a place where the 18 flame veins gathered. I see. Xiaochen had a look of realization. The scene before him was an eye-opener. When the 18 flame veins gathered, the primal chaos it produced was actually clear lake water. No one else would be able to imagine this, let alone enjoy the scenery as calmly as he did. Danger lurked everywhere in the primal chaos. One option was to forcefully break through and reach the faux god realm. Otherwise, only Xiaochen could do it, breaking through force with skill and separating yin and yang, balancing the 9 extreme yin flame veins and 9 extreme yang flame veins. Good chance. Here, I can cultivate the universe origin true flame and the heavenly snow divine flame at the same time. Moreover, I can comprehend the Tao here and increase my cultivation. It's equivalent to killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Xiaochen calmly analyzed in his heart. One who survives a great disaster is bound to have good fortune later on. Swoosh. He sat cross-legged and placed his hands on his knees, palms facing the sky. In the next moment, the heavenly snow divine flame's origin flame in his left hand burned, and the universe origin true flame's origin flame appeared in his right hand. The 2 primal chaos grade flames began to absorb the yin attributed and yang attributed flames in the lake at the same time. The Tai Chi diagram beneath them gradually became clearer. As the flame in Xiaochen's palm grew stronger, the Taiji diagram beneath him gave off a faint light that looked solid. Xiaochen closed his eyes. At some point in time, 2 balls of origin source appeared in his palm. As if it had come to life, it swam down agilely like a fish. The flame veins chased each other in the water, forming an even more realistic Taiji force field that frenziedly absorbed the flame veins' essence. After an unknown period of time, sparks appeared at the bottom of the clear lake. These sparks were like stars shining at the bottom of the water. When it saw Xiaochen, it swam toward him like a moth flying into a flame. They were densely packed and layered upon one another. Xiaochen was completely unaware that he was comprehending the Tao at the bottom of the lake, and had sunk into a rather profound state. All the injuries on his body had recovered, and his condition was like that of a baby in his mother's womb. It was indescribably mysterious. The ice-fire wasteland was divided into the periphery, the inner area, and the core. The periphery occupied half of the area. Previously, Xiaochen had been hunting mastiffs in the periphery. People called him the dog-killing mad demon, one of the tyrants of the periphery. The inner area of the ice-fire wasteland was a mysterious frost forest. Many ice crystals wrapped in silver grew there. These ice crystals looked like crystals, transparent and crystalline. Their entire bodies were covered in white snow, giving them an ancient and heavy feel. Every tree was at least 10,000 years old. Many crafty and strong foe beasts lived in them. Half-step sovereign emperor experts or other sovereign personages who dared to take risks would come here for experiential training. Experiential training here was much more dangerous than in the periphery. One could die at any moment. Although the inner area was dangerous, most people understood it or had occasionally gone in for experiential training. However, the core of the ice-fire wasteland was extremely mysterious. Many people did not even know what the core looked like. Only the true experts among sovereign personages dared to venture deep into the core and take the risk. On this day, a group of people arrived at the periphery of the ice-fire wasteland's core. These were the Universe Origin sect disciples who mocked Xiaochun for killing dogs back then. All of them had extraordinary appearances, standing out from the crowd. The leader, Feng Xiaobai, looked the most elegant. "Senior brother Feng, we have arrived." This group of people exuded strong killing qi. Clearly, they had experienced many dangerous battles here. Feng Xiaobai remained silent as he looked to the front. A vast and boundless sea of fire lay before him. Outsiders would not be able to imagine that the center of this continent made of ice was actually an extremely horrifying sea of fire. The sea of fire surged, alternating between hot and cold, looking extremely strange. The surging heat materialized many mysterious phenomena. Just a wave surging over was equivalent to a peak strike from a half-step sovereign emperor. However, this was not the most terrifying thing. The scariest thing was that the sea of fire had yet to separate yin and yang. It was filled with primal chaos, unfathomable and impossible to deal with. Feng Xiaobai showed an extremely cautious expression as he faced this sea of fire. Needless to say, the other disciples were even more cautious. Most of the Universe Origin sect disciples were skilled with the Fire Dao. Many of them even comprehended the Fire Dao domain. But it was useless. In this sea of flames, yin and yang had yet to be separated, and everything was chaotic. The slightest carelessness would cause one to burn while playing with fire. Thus, they had to be even more careful than those who were not proficient in the Dao of Fire. It looks like the people of the profound Heaven Holy Land, the Hidden Spirit Temple, and the Bushan Palace are one step ahead of us. After looking around, Feng Xiaobai muttered to himself as he looked at the sea of fire. "Senior martial brother, don't worry. The ice-fire divine origin won't be born anytime soon. It's useless even if they go." Feng Xiaobai said softly, "I'm not worried about that. I'm just afraid that these people will work together in advance. Never mind. Let's take out the yin-yang flame parrying pearl and enter as well." At this moment, Feng Xiaobai thought of having the alloy battle armor again. The group of people took out their fire-repelling pearls and placed them in their mouths. Immediately, a bright and dark-colored enchantment appeared around them. With the yin-yang fire-parrying pearl, the few of them were able to step into the sea of fire without worry. Otherwise, staying in there for too long would be suicide. It was the same for the other super forces. They all had similar secret treasures. Otherwise, in this sea of fire, not to mention preserving one's strength, even surviving would be a problem. As the sea of fire surged, the group advanced cautiously. Although there was no rush to obtain the ice-fire divine origin, the other three super factions had already taken the lead. They could not delay any longer. Feng Xiaobai's strength was outstanding, so he led the way. Occasionally, huge waves surged over. The surging flames looked horrifying, looking like they would swallow up the world. They were like the ferocious maw of a huge void beast. Bang! Every time a fierce wave surged over, Feng Xiaobai did not dodge. He simply threw a palm strike with a cold expression. The originally gentle, elegant, and handsome Feng Xiaobai seemed like a completely different person when he attacked. He was like a wild beast, his aura bursting out as he threw a palm strike. The palm wind containing the Dao roared ferociously, erupting with thousands of light images. The light images were like swords, as resplendent as the sun. They forcefully split the fierce waves, not dodging at all. "Senior brother, junior brother Lu can't hold on any longer." When Feng Xiaobai looked back, he saw that a disciple had accidentally cracked his fire-parrying pearl. When the primal chaos flames invaded the disciple, he immediately found it extremely unbearable, unable to advance or retreat. Feng Xiaobai only glanced at the disciple before saying indifferently, "End your own life." That disciple immediately showed an anxious expression. "Senior brother, save me." "You got careless, and you want me to save you? If I save you now, how are you going to fight the others when we reach Flame Island?" Feng Xiaobai did not have any intention of saving that disciple. He said indifferently, "If you are not following, then just accompany him." The others immediately felt very anxious. They ignored their companion, whose fire-parrying pearl had been broken, and quickly followed Feng Xiaobai. "Senior brother. Senior brother." That person's voice sounded very shrill, flustering the others. However, Feng Xiaobai's expression did not change at all. These people risked following him because they wanted to obtain the ice-fire divine origin and obtain the corresponding benefits. Since that was the case, they should know to bear the risks themselves. After half a day, Feng Xiaobai used another palm strike to split the fierce waves. The indistinct figures of some people appeared at the limits of his vision amid the heat waves. "We are almost there." Feng Xiaobai put in more effort and increased his speed. Afterimages appeared behind him. The afterimages were like fire, burning fiercely like intense flames. Soon, the scene at the limits of his vision appeared before Feng Xiaobai. Many average-sized islands appeared in front. When he counted them, there were 18 of them. Technically, it would be more appropriate to call them submerged reefs. This was because these islands only had a radius of 100 meters. The smaller ones were only 10 meters wide. However, these submerged reefs were very important to these people. Yin and yang were everywhere in the primal chaos flame sea. There was no pattern to it. It would be extreme yin at one moment and extreme yang at another, making it exceptionally uncomfortable. Only the submerged reefs had fixed yin and yang, either extreme yin or extreme yang. Only by stepping on the submerged reefs could one truly gain a foothold. At this moment, many people occupied the various islands. When these people saw Feng Xiaobai appear, their expressions changed at the same time. In the faux god world, reaching Sovereign Emperor meant that one's cultivation had reached perfection, and one needed to leave. After the many old people left, Feng Xiaobai could be said to be the leader of the Universe Origin sex group. Everyone had experienced Feng Xiaobai's strength long ago. His ruthlessness inspired fear. After Feng Xiaobai stood still, he casually glanced around, and his face immediately sank. Whoosh! The other Universe Origin sect disciples behind Feng Xiaobai slowly caught up. When they saw this, they immediately cursed. 18 submerged reefs of various sizes were occupied. The people of the Profound Heaven Holy Land, Bushan Palace, and the Hidden Spirit Temple occupied all 18 submerged reefs, not leaving a single one for the Universe Origin sect. Indeed, these people had reached an agreement in advance. The thing that Xiaochen worried about the most happened. Feng Xiaobai showed a cold expression as he gently flung his sleeves. He said, "Everyone, are you going to give up some islands on your own initiative, or do you want this Feng to make a move and start a massacre?" Chapter 2141. Will everyone take the initiative to give up some islands, or will this Feng make a move and start a massacre? Feng Xiaobai's words sounded very threatening. At this moment, the three clans each occupied 6 of the 18 submerged reefs. They had rested for many days, building up their strength. Compared to the travel-worn Feng Xiaobai and the others, who rushed over, they were in much better condition. In reality, even if Feng Xiaobai and the others were in perfect condition, the leaders of the other 3 clans would not fear them. However, this Feng Xiaobai was a ruthless person. When he attacked, he did not hold back. Once Feng Xiaobai set his sights on someone, he would fight to the death. He was as difficult to deal with as a madman, giving others a headache. Aside from Feng Xiaobai, the others also saw that the Universe Origin sect had sent several experts. The 2 people beside Feng Xiaobai were the top 10 Universe Origin sect disciples in the faux god world. They were half-step sovereign emperors. Their Dao domains merged with their souls and formed divine seals. The rest were heaven-defying sovereign personages. Without exception, they were all elites. With the 3 clans working together, they could suppress the other side. However, if a fight broke out, it would be problematic. Someone might even die. The leaders of the profound Heaven Holy Land, Bushan Palace, and the Hidden Spirit Temple discussed with each other, and gave up 3 islands. When Feng Xiaobai saw the situation, he snorted coldly and did not say anything more. Obtaining 3 islands was already pretty good. After all, his side had arrived late, so he could not blame others. If a fight really broke out, aside from Feng Xiaobai and his 2 half-step Sovereign Emperor Junior brothers, the others would not have a good ending. With the 3 clans working together, they could crush them. Everyone, get on the island and recover your strength first. Whoosh. After Feng Xiaobai and the others landed on the island, they immediately took out the yin-yang fire-parting pearls. Then they sat down cross-legged and quickly recovered the veritable essence energy they exhausted along the way. At the same time, they warily watched the other 3 clans. 2 people stood side by side on the largest island occupied by the Bushan Palace. One person wore fluttering white robes and had a scarlet mark on his forehead, giving off a cold and sinister aura. The other person wore azure and showed off his sharpness, appearing unruly. One of these 2 was by Yunfei, the White Marsh Beast Empire's by Clan Young Master. The other was the Hound Lion Empire's Crown Prince, Xiahozun. Speaking of which, it was quite a coincidence. The 2 of them had some grudges with Xiao Chun, and they both appeared in the Void God realm. Xiahozun looked at Feng Xiaobai, and a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He said sullenly, "This Feng Xiaobai is really arrogant and despotic. He is not a royal court disciple of the Tianwu dynasty, yet he dares to be so unbridled before us." Bai Yunfei said indifferently, "Although he is not a member of the royal family, the Feng clan of the Tianwu dynasty is the head of the 4 great clans. Currently, the clan head is conferred the title of Prince Jin. More importantly, the Feng family's position in the primordial sect is firm. Their patriarch is one of the 8 flame protectors of the primordial sect. His status is not much lower than that of the royal family's disciples." "Compared to the 2 of us?" Xiahozun said disdainfully. Bai Yunfei said after some thought, "It's hard to say. The crucial thing is that the other 2 clans might not be on the same side as us. That Mu Yunju is not someone to offend. If we fight rashly and he sneak attacks us, all our efforts will be for naught. That Baldi Yuanzhen is not someone to be trifled with." The leaders of the 4 superforces were all scheming people. They did not trust each other too much. Everyone came for the Ice-Fire Divine Origin. However, there was only one Ice-Fire Divine Origin. At that time, they would definitely fight over it. Of the 18 submerged reefs, 9 were extreme yin and 9 extreme yang, forming a circle in the vast flame sea. This place was the core of the entire Ice-Fire wasteland. The Ice-Fire Divine Origin was born here. "Senior Brother Mu? What exactly is this Ice-Fire Divine Origin?" A disciple on the profound Heaven Holy Land's submerged reef asked Mu Yunju. Mu Yunju looked around and replied softly, "The Ice-Fire Divine Origin is similar to the origin liquid we exchange for in the Holy Domain's divine capital. However, it is of a much higher grade. It can be said to be the embodiment of the entire Ice-Fire Wasteland's essence. It is born only once every 3 years. Compared to ordinary origin liquid, its quality is 10 times, even 100 times, or even 1,000 times higher. More importantly, origin liquid does not have an attribute. However, this Ice-Fire Divine Origin contains an attribute. If you cultivate one of the great Tao in it, the wondrous effects you will obtain are simply indescribable." There was once a person who instantly broke through the bottleneck of his Tao domain after refining one of the Divine Origin. That was equivalent to 10 years of bitter cultivation. Do you think it is precious or not? Furthermore, it comes from the same source as ice and fire. When 2 completely contradictory attributes are combined, it is something worth studying in the first place. Even if you do not use it, you can sell it to a faux god expert and obtain boundless benefits. The person who asked the question immediately felt an irrepressible desire. Unexpectedly, the Ice-Fire Divine Origin was such a wondrous item with a startling value. If it were not startling, it would not have attracted the experts of the 4 super factions. Mu Yunju remained rather calm. He said seriously, "Don't overthink. The people from the Universe Origin sect, Bushan Palace, and the Hidden Spirit Temple are not easy to deal with. It is hard to say whether they can obtain the ice-fire divine origin or not. As Mu Yunju spoke, he glanced at Bai Yunfei, deep fear flashing in his eyes. If Feng Xiaobai was a mad dog that no one dared to offend, then this Bai Yunfei was a venomous snake. Even sovereign emperors feared his thousand-taste red. The poison could penetrate deep into the soul. If one was not careful, one would be consigned to eternal damnation. Then Mu Yunju looked at the hidden spirit temple's monks. All of them looked benevolent. However, he knew that they were not kind people. In this vast flame sea, the monks who cultivated the Buddhist sect's indestructible iron body had the greatest advantage in terms of their physical bodies. The leaders of the four factions all harbored strange thoughts. They all feared each other, thinking of how to snatch the ice-fire divine origin that was about to appear. Rumble. Suddenly, the 18 submerged reefs started shaking. 18 pillars of fire soared into the sky from the surrounding sea of fire. The fiery light was as dazzling as mercury. After they soared into the sky, they spread out like fireworks. The sky immediately looked very beautiful, like thousands of flowers blooming. Feng Xiaobai, Xiahozun Muyunju, and the hidden spirit temple's Yuanzhen all showed joy on their faces. Then they turned extremely grave. After waiting for 10 days, this sunny day has finally arrived. The hidden spirit temple's Yuanzhen said softly as he looked at the beautiful sky. A sunny day was a sign of the ice-fire divine origin's birth. With a sunny day, the ice-fire divine origin would not be far from appearing. Everyone be careful. If the flames that fall later are not small, you might lose your life. In the Great Thousand Realms, anyone who was overly beautiful would avoid it. This sunny day was no exception. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As the fireworks fell, the disciples of the four superfactions started executing their various means, either dodging or forcibly scattering the falling fireworks. A loud sound immediately erupted. An inconspicuous wisp of flame suddenly appeared. The seemingly unremarkable clump of flames actually rivaled the peak strike of a half-step sovereign emperor. Some of them even surpassed it. Of the four superfactions, the hidden spirit temple's monks were the most relaxed. These monks all cultivated the Buddhist sect's indestructible iron body cultivation technique. The advantage of their physical bodies was evident. They could even endure this flame head-on without much problem. Whoosh! The fireworks slowly scattered, and gurgling sounds came from the center of the 18 submerged reefs. Closely following that, a beam of light soared into the sky and scattered the sunny day. It's coming, Feng Xiaobai said after some thought, raising his guard to the highest. The ice-fire divine origin was about to be born. At this moment, no one could remain calm. The surrounding disciples all showed grave expressions. Their auras had already started clashing in secret, causing the flame sea to surge and roar. Waves surged up and down, rising and falling. All sorts of terrifying mysterious phenomena appeared in the surroundings. However, the group remained unmoved, showing calm expressions. Even when the flame waves surged over like ferocious beasts, they did not move at all, only staring at the sea region where the pillar of light was. It seemed like something was slowly rising in the flaming sea region, bathed in the golden pillar of light. Soon, this item charged out of the flame sea, revealing a corner. It was a budding lotus flower. The two-colored flames and leaves were wrapped together in layers, flickering with two-colored flowing lights, attracting people's wild and fanciful thoughts. To think that there are 360 lotus leaves. The ice-fire divine origin that is born this time is probably the most in the past 1,000 years. The previous time the ice-fire divine origin was born, there were less than 100 lotus leaves. That was already very rare. This time, there are 360 lotus leaves. This is probably the limit of what the ice-fire wasteland can produce. There is nothing stronger than this. After seeing the number of lotus leaves, Mu Yunju and the others became utterly excited, their hearts thumping wildly. Their eyes flickered with a fiery light, filled with desire. The universe origin sect's Feng Xiaobai thought coldly, to think that it is the most in the past 1,000 years. I have to obtain this ice-fire divine origin. After obtaining the fire divine origin, my universe origin true flame will definitely advance from rank 6 to rank 7. While Feng Xiaobai thought this, the others were thinking the same. After going through so much trouble to come to this dangerous flame sea, they actually found the best ice fire divine origin in the past 1,000 years. No one was willing to hand it over. Everyone was determined to obtain it. The lotus petals fell off one by one, and the ice fire divine origin was about to reveal itself. Everyone held their breath at this moment. However, when all the lotus petals fell off, a person sat cross-legged on a lotus platform amid the bright light. Feng Xiaobai swallowed back the words attack that he was about to say, completely flabbergasted. What the heck? Where is the ice fire divine origin? It was not just Feng Xiaobai. Anyone who saw a person sitting on the lotus that gave birth to the divine origin would be flabbergasted, their brains short-circuiting. Chapter 2142. What's going on? Based on the pattern of the past, shouldn't the ice fire divine origin appear when the lotus flower bloomed? Why is there a person? Everyone was stunned. They could not understand what was going on. Where's the ice fire divine origin? Who can tell me what's going on? Heavens! Why is there a person living in the lotus flower? This feeling was driving them crazy. Originally, there were 360 lotus petals. The ice fire divine origin that blossomed should have been the greatest in the past 1,000 years. Feng Xiaobai and the others were already incredibly excited, waiting for the moment the lotus flower bloomed to take action. However, that was not the case at all. Their moods immediately changed. Senior Brother Feng, he is the dog-killing mad demon, the Heavenly Alliance's Xiao Chun. Someone beside Feng Xiaobai shouted as he pointed at Xiao Chun after recognizing him. Bai Yunfei and Xiahou Zun exchanged glances. The two knew that Xiao Chun had joined the Heavenly Alliance, and that he was in the Holy Domain's divine capital. However, they did not care about him. After more than a year, Xiao Chun had vanished without a trace. No one cared about breaking the Trial Tower's record. Why is this fellow here? Xiahou Zun asked, feeling suspicious. Of course, Bai Yunfei could not explain it. No matter how hard he thought, he could not figure out how Xiao Chun came out of the lotus flower. We just need to capture him and ask him clearly, Bai Yunfei said indifferently. Back then, when Xiao Chun escaped from his hands in Cloudwater Marsh, he had embarrassed himself before the Dragon God Crown Prince. Unexpectedly, they met again in such a manner. Xiahou Zun said indifferently, That's true. We just need to capture him and interrogate him. This way, we can settle old and new grudges together. On the lotus platform, Xiao Chun opened his eyes, feeling warm all over. As he looked around, his heart skipped a beat, filled with doubt and confusion. He had been cultivating and comprehending the Tao in the water, refining the universe origin true flame, and the heavenly snow divine flame at the same time. He found it boundlessly profound, forgetting about everything else. The moment he opened his eyes, he found himself in this place. He could not understand it. Xiao Chun felt very warm and comfortable. Just as he was about to take a closer look, he suddenly heard the sound of wind. It was Xiahou Zun making the first move. Xiao Chun ruthlessly threw a palm strike at Xiao Chun. This palm was boundlessly domineering, and contained a powerful aura of the Great Path. Its body was supported by the might of the Great Path, and it was as heavy as a mountain and indestructible. The seemingly ordinary palm strike had, in fact, already unleashed its greatest power in a situation where it was caught off guard. Xiao Chun opened his eyes and did not understand what was going on. He reflexively threw a palm strike. Boom! A Taiji diagram appeared under the lotus platform. When the two palms clashed, a Taiji diagram appeared. Catching Xiahou Zun off guard, Xiahou Zun, who was charging over, was immediately blown away. On xiao xiao on he, xiao xiao chen on tian. True xiao, on xiao xiao on xiao 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 on. Fire, true, on xiao is xiao xiao on he, comma, the stunned Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun, who had just advanced from great perfection sovereign personage to peak sovereign personage, immediately reached peak consummation. Xiao Chun's cultivation reached consummation as a sovereign personage. This was completely unexpected. Xiao Chun estimated that even in the faux god world, he would need to cultivate for 1 or 2 years before he could truly reach consummation. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chun had just broken through to great perfection sovereign personage before he closed his eyes. When he opened his eyes, he reached consummation. Xiao Chun had an acquired divine body, a great desolate Ian bloodline, and cultivated the purple thunder divine incantation. Along the way to sovereign personage, Xiao Chun had accumulated a lot of accumulations. Once he reached consummation, his strength would increase by leaps and bounds. Xiao Chun's expression did not change as he looked around again. Not to mention the others' expressions of wanting to swallow him up. Just by Yunfei, Xiaohozun and Mu Yunju, these three old acquaintances, would be more than enough to deal with. Although Xiao Chun did not understand what happened, since these three were here, there was no room for him to maneuver. When Xiaohozun landed, he looked at Xiao Chun with some shock. The Ice-Fire Divine Origin. He must have refined the Ice-Fire Divine Origin. Where did the Ice-Fire Divine Origin go? Be honest, Feng Xiaobai shouted as he looked coldly at Xiao Chun. The murderous qi he exuded was somewhat terrifying. Mahamaya abstinence violation technique, Buddha in the mortal realm. However, before Feng Xiaobai finished speaking, a Buddhist swastika appeared on Xiao Chun's forehead, and a supreme killing Buddha descended from the sky. Bang! The instant the killing Buddha descended, it kicked up an overwhelming wave before it even attacked. The surging flame waves surged out in all directions. Immediately, the cultivators on the submerged reef had no choice but to dodge. Boom! When the killing Buddha made its move, the sea region turned completely chaotic. The surrounding cultivators were thrown into disarray. Xiao Chun took advantage of the chaos to stand up. As he hovered in the air, he turned his head to look at the lotus platform. After thinking for a while, he waved his right hand and placed the lotus platform in his storage ring. Divine Firmament 9 changes, traceless lightning shadow. Leaving behind a faint purple mark, Xiao Chun leaped out of the encirclement and headed to the front. When everything calmed down, Feng Xiaobai and the others were in somewhat sorry states. They all showed rage on their faces. To think that this Xiao Chun dared to take the initiative to attack them. Xiao Chun was truly bold, seeking death for himself. Where is he? When everyone looked carefully, they discovered that Xiao Chun's figure had vanished. He was no longer where he had been. The expression of the hidden spirit temple's Yuan Zhen changed slightly. The lotus platform was gone. In reality, this group of hidden spirit temple disciples did not come for the Ice-Fire Lotus platform, but for the Ice-Fire Lotus platform. However, now that the lotus platform was gone, they immediately felt flustered. He is there. He ran away. Someone shouted. When everyone looked back, they saw Xiao Chun quickly fleeing far away in the vast flame sea. After him. We absolutely cannot let him get away. If they let Xiao Chun escape from under their noses, they would be utterly embarrassed. If word of this got out, they would become a huge joke. Where is this place? Xiao Chun, who was quickly moving forward, frowned slightly. He did not get far in the vast flame sea, but he was startled. The flame sea did not differentiate between yin and yang. The extreme yin and extreme yang flowed without any pattern. There was no way to resist it. Xiao Chun quickly activated the alloy battle armor. Fortunately, the softened alloy battle armor had already recovered. With a thought, the 2-star alloy battle armor instantly covered Xiao Chun, blocking most of the heat wave. When the alloy battle armor covered his entire body, Xiao Chun released his bated breath. However, his expression remained grave. None of the large group of people behind him were easy to deal with. There were at least 10 half-step sovereign emperors. This was especially so for Feng Xiaobai and the others. Even though Xiao Chun's cultivation had improved significantly, he was not confident of victory. What exactly happened for this group of peak outstanding talents to gather here? Xiao Chun felt somewhat confused. He could not figure out what was going on. Furthermore, the people behind him were hot on his heels, so he did not have time to think. Stay behind. A loud shout came from behind Xiao Chun. It was Feng Xiaobai. He took the lead, chasing at the very front. Feng Xiaobai's shout contained the Tao. It sounded like spring thunder, resounding in Xiao Chun's ears. Half-step sovereign emperor. This was a half-step sovereign emperor. The Tao domain merged with the soul to form a divine seal. With one roar, the sound waves could invade the soul and linger endlessly. When Xiaochun first met Mu Yunju on the comprehension platform, he suffered greatly at the other party's hands. However, Xiaochun was no longer the same as before. Naturally, he would not suffer from the same method twice. The moment the other party's voice rang out, dragon roars erupted from Xiaochun's body. A blue dragon circled him, and his hot-bloodedness surged. Roar! 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 Dragon roars rang out everywhere, and the sound waves clashed in the vast flame sea. A loud explosion that was louder than the previous one set off a huge wave that shook the heavens. The sun and moon shining together, mysterious phenomenon instantly appeared, allowing the light of the sun and the moon to enter Xiaochun's body. This series of moves was completed in an instant, allowing Xiaochun to block the other party's sound waves from entering his soul. However, this delay delayed Xiaochun for the blink of an eye. It was this blink of an eye that gave Feng Xiaobai an opportunity. Great gale force. Feng Xiaobai threw a palm strike. His Wind Dao domain had already reached the second layer. This palm strike brought out its full might. This palm strike sent the surrounding 500,000 kilometers of the flame sea flying like a castle, looking very horrifying. Then it shattered. The strong wind was like countless sharp blades slicing through it, extinguishing all the flames for 500,000 kilometers. Before Xiaochun, who was in the middle of the flames, could react, he got knocked into the air along with the flames. The strong wind was like a knife, extinguishing the flames and blowing them away, exposing Xiaochun in the air. Dang! 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 Countless strong winds struck the alloy battle armor, producing tinkling sounds. When the strong winds scattered, blood leaked out of a corner of Xiaochun's lips. As Xiaochun watched Feng Xiaobai arrive with the wind, the others chased closely behind him. With this delay, they would probably catch up. The Foe God realm is indeed a land of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Xiaochun said calmly as he wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. If not for the alloy battle armor blocking most of the power of that palm, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Kneel down and beg for mercy. Seeing that his killing move injured Xiaochun, Feng Xiaobai shouted coldly and descended from the sky, sending another palm strike at Xiaochun. When Xiaochun saw this, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly, and he couldn't help but reveal a cold smile. Did this fellow think that he had stopped because he no longer had a chance to retaliate? Such arrogance. It seems like this is all there is to it. In that case, I will take back my words. So-called geniuses were nothing more than this. Taiji was divided into yin and yang. Xiaochun gently pushed his palms to the left and right, and the Taiji force field spread out. Yin and yang merged under his feet. A chaotic sea of fire instantly stabilized. Suddenly, the violent and chaotic sea of fire magically calmed down. As Feng Xiaobai charged over, his expression changed slightly. He felt that something was wrong. Why did it feel like someone was suppressing the energy of this sea of fire? Did you notice it? It's too late, explode. Xiaochun roared, and the Taiji force field instantly exploded. The violent sea of fire that had been forcibly separated burst out with an even more violent momentum, as Xiaochun's palm strike. Chapter 2143. Xiaochun used the Taiji Dao to forcefully suppress the primal chaos energy in the primal chaos flame sea. When Feng Xiaobai charged over, he released the force of his palm strike. The primal chaos flame sea, which had been suppressed for a long time, clashed with Feng Xiaobai's palm strike in an even more berserk manner. Puchi! Feng Xiaobai immediately vomited a mouthful of blood as he got knocked back. Cracks appeared in the yin flame parrying pearl on his body. Without the fire-repelling pearl, it would be hard for him to keep his life in the chaos flame sea. So. Figures flickered, and Buddhist light broke through the waves. It was a group of disciples from the hidden spirit temple. While they were fighting, they caught up. This group of monks all cultivated the indestructible Vajra body. Xiaochun's physical body held a great advantage in this primal chaos flame sea. He unhurriedly followed after Feng Xiaobai. The group of monks had their palms clasped together. Buddhist light shone behind their heads, making them look holy and solemn. However, he didn't feel any pity for Xiaochun. He chased after him and landed next to Xiaochun. Without saying a word, he attacked. Every move was fierce and domineering, containing a great amount of strength. The fleshly body was as hard as a divine material. When Xiao Chen's fist light landed on his opponent's body, a crisp metallic sound rang out. In the boundless sea of fire, Xiao Chen fought and retreated without much fear. The 10,000 dragons picture appeared indistinctly behind Xiao Chen. He used the Supreme Dragon Fist to clash head-on with the Hidden Spirit Temple disciples. Dragon roars rang out, and countless dragon images leaped about in the sea of flames. From time to time, they would soar in the sky, and from time to time, they would dive to the bottom of the sea. The many Hidden Spirit Temple disciples linked their fist lights together, spreading out a Buddhist light. The 8 tribes Heaven Dragon, the Buddha preaching, the Bodhi discussing the Tao. All sorts of Buddhist phenomena appeared one after another. Although these people's cultivation techniques were varied, they all came from Buddhism. When they attacked together, the phenomenon of Buddhism linked together, as if a pure land of gods and Buddhas had appeared. However, Xiao Chen did not fall into a disadvantageous position under such pressure. He retreated as he fought, and he didn't panic in the slightest. Ouch! How can this person's physical body be stronger than ours? How could this be? Even at close range, you are still unable to instantly capture him? Although the expressions of the Hidden Spirit Temple disciples did not change, they were already complaining in their hearts. In close combat, the group of people fought one after another. Relying on the advantage of the indestructible Vajra body, they wanted to directly suppress Xiao Chen. But the result was the complete opposite. After exchanging a few punches, it was their bodies that couldn't take it anymore. Acquired divine body. A bright light flashed in the eyes of the Hidden Spirit Temple's Yuan Zhen, who had not made a move all this while. Suddenly he said, "Benefactor Xiao is really astonishing. To think that you managed to cultivate an acquired divine body. This is truly admirable. However, you're only one person in the end, and won't be able to hold on for long. If you hand over the Ice and Fire Lotus platform, we'll stop here." Xiao Chen raised his eyebrows and smiled softly. "If not for me having some relationship with your Hidden Spirit Temple, I would not have been so polite long ago. As long as I am in this primal chaos flame sea, I will be undefeatable. No matter how many people there are, so what? I did not seek trouble for you, but you wanted my lotus platform." Yuan Zhen felt slightly stunned. Naturally, he did not know about the matter between Xiao Chen and the little monk. However, Yuan Zhen recognized the Buddha in the mortal realm that Xiao Chen executed earlier. This was the Buddhist sect forbidden technique, the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique. Yuan Zhen could not help feeling suspicious. Could it be that he really has some relationship with my temple? "Stop!" Yuan Zhen shouted. The many Hidden Spirit Temple disciples immediately heaved a sigh of relief. Upon hearing Yuan Zhen's command, they all stopped and retreated. When Xiao Chen saw the situation, he also heaved a sigh of relief. This group of monks was a tough nut to crack. If this continued, Xiao Chen would not have it easy. In the end, he would have to take out the Buddhist sect's golden letter to stop this group of people. "You are really decisive." Xiao Chen glanced at Yuan Zhen and praised him. Then he immediately moved far away. "Senior brother, why did you make a move? Are you just going to let him go?" The group of Hidden Spirit Temple disciples looked at Yuan Zhen in confusion, finding this strange. Yuan Zhen said after some thought, "The Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique that this person executed is called in the mortal realm. It happens to be something that our temple has. If there is no connection, it is impossible to learn this saber technique. He does have Buddha nature, so it is really difficult to judge his identity. I will go back and ask my master." Whoosh! A figure quickly flew by. Yuan Zhen took a look, and saw that it was the profound Heaven Holy Land's Mu Yunju. He could not help but think that even if he let Rang go, it would not be easy for him to walk out of this vast sea of fire. Not long after Xiao Chen left, Mu Yunju caught up to him and gave chase. Although Fang Xiaobai's group was slower than Fang Xiaobai and Yuan Zhen's group, they did not suffer any interference. He immediately pushed his movement technique to the limit and finally caught up. "Half a year ago you refused my challenge. I thought you were a coward. Now it seems that you are really good at enduring," Mu Yunju said seriously as a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Based on the strength that Xiaochen displayed, it was clear that he could hold his own against Mu Yinju. This person's mental state was very calm. No matter what the ice-fire divine origin was, Mu Yinju could not let Xiaochen leave this vast sea of fire to avoid a future problem. Xiaochen, it has been a long time. Just as Xiaochen prepared to fight, two figures appeared behind him. Bai Yunfei and Xiao Hozun actually surrounded him from behind. When Xiaochen saw these two familiar people, he could not help frowning slightly. Today's calamity came out of nowhere. Things really bode ill for him in this vast sea of fire. Xiaochen glanced at Bai Yunfei, and a murderous intent flashed in the depths of his eyes. He said indifferently, "It has indeed been a long time. Back then, you nearly forced me into a corner in Cloudwater Marsh." At the mention of Cloudwater Marsh, Bai Yunfei could not help feeling angry. Back then, Xiaochen turned around and scared him off. Bai Yunfei thought that he ran into a demonic Dao sovereign emperor. Now that he thought about it, it was simply a great humiliation. Humph. This time, let's see how you are going to play tricks on the vast sea of fire. Bai Yunfei held the bamboo flute in his hand. The scarlet orchid formed by the 3 scarlet marks on his forehead looked very alluring, but his expression was extremely cold. Xiao Hozun said indifferently, "Xiaochen, it is time to settle the score between us at the Peach Blossom Wine Festival." Xiaochen mocked. "The person who embarrassed you at the Peach Blossom Wine Festival was the Peach Blossom Sovereign Emperor. What does that have to do with me? If you want to seek trouble for me, just say it. There is no need to make it sound so wronged." Mu Yunju, who was at the side, found this strange. He had not expected Bai Yunfei and Xiao Hozun to have such a grudge with Xiaochen. These two were not people to be offended. One was the crown prince of the White Marsh Beast Empire, and the other was the crown prince of the Hound Lion Empire. They held noble statuses and illustrious statuses. Furthermore, their bloodlines were excellent. Their futures in the Bushan Palace were limitless. "How lively," a figure said coldly as he slowly descended. It was Feng Xiaobai, who had repaired the Yinyang fire parting pearl. When Feng Xiaobai saw that the others were present, he said, "Everyone be careful. This fellow has a strange cultivation technique that can suppress the primal chaos flame sea. By using the might of the primal chaos flame sea, even I nearly fell for his palm strike." The 4 experts surrounded Xiaochen but did not make the first move. This was especially so for Feng Xiaobai. After he said that Xiaochen grasped a special cultivation technique that could use the primal chaos flame sea, the 4 experts surrounded him. "Hand over the ice-fire divine origin. We can settle our grudges in the future." Bai Yunfei frowned slightly. With Mu Yunju and Feng Xiaobai around, he felt somewhat fearful. He could not kill Xiaochen lest others take advantage of him. "Sorry, I do not know what the ice-fire divine origin is. However, even if I knew, given my character, I would not give it to you." Xiaochen raised his eyebrows. He caught the lack of confidence in Bai Yunfei's words. He could not help smiling coldly. "Even if you are not crown princes, you are still outstanding talents of your sections. Why is it that you do not dare to attack me at this moment?" "That's right. I still have not activated my great desolate Ian bloodline. Furthermore, I am wearing the alloy battle armor. If we fight to the death, who can guarantee that they will not die? Since you don't have the heart to die, then get out of my way. I won't rest until I kill whoever blocks my way in this boundless sea of fire." Xiaochen shouted, and his aura surged. With the alloy battle armor, his tyrannical aura appeared in full display. When Feng Xiaobai and the others heard that, their hearts skipped a beat. When they thought of the primal chaos flame sea, if Xiaochen really targeted them and fought to the death, even if they killed Xiaochen, they would end up dying in the flame sea. Xiaochen laughed loudly and left, leaving the 4 looking at each other with awkward and conflicted expressions. Once a person became timid, it would be very difficult to muster their courage again. Before making a move, they would remember that this was the primal chaos flame sea. It was not easy to fight to the death with others here. Otherwise, even if they won, they would suffer severe injuries and fall in the flame sea. They would have 10,000 reasons to convince themselves not to make a move. Crown princes of empires and outstanding talents of sex are only SOSO. Ha ha ha. As the 4 remained silent, They heard laughter in the distance, echoing endlessly in the vast flame sea. Chapter 2144. Amid the vast flame sea. Xiaoqian's laughter reverberated in all directions. However, it sounded exceptionally piercing to the ears of Bai Yunfei and the other three. Their expressions turned extremely sullen. After him. Let's see if you still have the capital to be arrogant after we reach the shore. Feng Xiaobai snorted coldly. Then he executed his movement technique and gave chase again in the flame sea. That was right. The reason why the group feared Xiaoqian was because they were in the flame sea. If they were not careful, they might end up dying together with Xiaoqian. Furthermore, the four did not trust each other and feared each other. Hence they did not dare to attack Xiaoqian rashly. In reality, there was one more thing that the four were unwilling to admit. Be it Bai Yunfei, Feng Xiaobai, Mu Yunju, or Xiahozun, they all felt intimidated by Xiaoqian's aura. Xiaoqian's declaration that he would not rest until he killed anyone in the way intimidated them, not daring to make the first move against Xiaoqian. However, no one would admit this in their hearts. Seeing Feng Xiaobai give chase, the others quickly followed. They all radiated killing qi and showed sullen expressions. They wished that they could tear Xiaoqian to pieces on the spot to vent the unhappiness in their hearts. This Xiaoqian is really going to thoroughly offend the four of us. This way, this matter will probably spread in a few days. The Hidden Spirit Temple's Yuanzhen said sullenly with a slight frown. The Hidden Spirit Temple's Yuanzhen, who was in the rear of the flame sea, frowned slightly. Xiaoqian's laughter was very loud, spreading far and wide. Everyone within 50,000 kilometers could hear it. Apart from them, the other disciples who were chasing after them also heard it clearly. If I cannot confuse their minds, how can I shake off this group of people? Right after Yuanzhen spoke, a figure in the air spread open his arms like an immortal crane in the clouds and landed firmly beside the group. Xiaoqian. When the Hidden Spirit Temple's disciples clearly saw the person who arrived, they were greatly startled. Xiaoqian clearly headed for the shore. Why did he turn around in the blink of an eye? What's going on? You did it on purpose. Yuanzhen's thoughts raced as fast as lightning. Soon he figured out the crux of the matter. Then, he enunciated every word as he looked at Xiaoqian. Xiaoqian smiled faintly and nodded. That's right. These four people are peak experts among half-step sovereign emperors. It would be hard for me to defeat any one of them, much less all four of them. I could temporarily intimidate them, but they weren't fools. They would quickly come to their senses. With the four of us working together, there was no need to be afraid of dying. When the time comes, they will still be able to catch up to me. If I don't humiliate them and make them angry and blindly chase after me, I won't be able to leave. Furthermore, their lives are valuable, and they are not willing to die with me. How is my life worthless? There is no need for me to risk my life against them. The four felt that their lives were valuable, and did not want to risk their lives against Xiaoqian. Xiaoqian's SSS. How laughable. The four of them still felt that their lives were precious, and that there was no need to fight to the death with Xiaoqian. Benefactor Xiao, will you be able to explain your relationship with your temple in detail? Yuanzhen asked softly as he looked at Xiaoqian. Xiaoqian took out a brocade box and handed it to Yuanzhen. After Yuanzhen received it, he gave Xiaoqian a suspicious look. Xiaoqian took out a brocade box and handed it to Yuanzhen. When Yuanzhen received it, he gave Xiaoqian a suspicious look. You will know when you open it. Xiaoqian extended his hand and gestured for Yuanzhen to open it. The moment the brocade box opened a crack, a piercing golden light shot out. When the brocade box completely opened, Yuanzhen's expression changed. The expressions of the other Hidden Spirit Temple disciples behind also changed drastically, looking at Xiaoqian in shock. The Buddhist sect's golden letter. That was a one-page golden letter, the highest gift of the Buddhist sect. Only those who showed great kindness to the Buddhist sect could obtain it. When Xiaoqian saw the other party's expression, he smiled. Then his figure flashed, and he quickly took the brocade box back before Yuanzhen's stunned gaze. I only let you take a look and did not use this one-page golden letter. Don't blame me for taking it away. Xiaoqian smiled faintly as he put away the golden letter. Yuan Zhen recovered his wits and started cultivating again. Earlier, he had indeed thought of taking back the golden letter, so that he could think of a way to help his sect repay this favor. After all, it would be more worthwhile for him to repay this favor than for the other esteemed monks. Who knew? Xiaochen seemed to have anticipated this. Before Yuan Zhen could react, the golden letter was snatched away. Just address me as Yuan Zhen. I am just a lay disciple. Benefactor Xiao, there is no need to be so polite. Yuan Zhen smiled and said, Benefactor Xiao is right. I only took a look and did not use it. Xiaochen thought to himself, this Yuan Zhen is pretty good. Then he said softly, now do you believe my relationship with your sect? Yuan Zhen smiled and said, the Buddhist sect's golden letter already appeared. What else do I not believe? Now that the Buddhist sect's golden letter appeared, Xiaochen took the opportunity to ask, what is the ice-fire divine origin? Yuan Zhen gave Xiaochen a strange look. Benefactor Xiao, do you really not know, or are you pretending not to know? Xiaochen said helplessly. I indeed do not know what the ice-fire divine origin is. I don't even know where it is right now. Seeing that Xiaochen's expression was not fake, Yuan Zhen explained the ice-fire divine origins, and where this place was to Xiaochen. After Xiaochen heard that, he revealed a contemplative expression. There were still some parts that he did not understand. The flame vein rushing Xiaochen to the core of the ice-fire wasteland made sense. However, Xiaochen could not understand why the ice-fire divine origin disappeared, and why Xiaochen appeared on the lotus platform. Then, Xiaochen thought about his great improvement in cultivation, going from the initial peak to consummation peak. Xiaochen guessed that he might have inadvertently refined and absorbed the ice-fire divine origin. He seemed to recall seeing many flickering spots of starlight at the bottom of the lake before he entered a meditative state. Perhaps it had something to do with this. However, there was no need to overthink this. After all, his cultivation had improved significantly. He had nurtured the universe origin true flame and the heavenly snow divine flame to rank 6. All this was real. What did the ice-fire divine origin's disappearance have to do with Xiaochen? From the very start, he had never had any designs on the ice-fire divine origin. Benefactor Xiao, why did you appear on the ice-fire lotus platform? What exactly did you experience? Yuan Zhen asked softly, curiosity flashing in his eyes. This question concerned the secret of Xiaochen comprehending all things rejoicing together. For now, Xiaochen could not tell others. He could only reply after some thought. It's a long story. If there is an opportunity in the future, I will explain to you. When Yuan Zhen heard that, he knew that this involved Xiaochen's secrets, so he did not pursue the matter. He nodded to indicate his understanding and smiled. That is not important. However, there is something important that I would like to discuss with Benefactor Xiao. The ice-fire lotus platform. Yuan Zhen nodded and said, that's right. It looks like Benefactor Xiao is a smart person. I would like to use my treasures to exchange for this lotus platform with Benefactor Xiao. What miraculous uses does this lotus platform have? Xiaochen asked, feeling confused. It has boundless miraculous uses for people of my Buddhist sect. However, it is not very useful to outsiders. Yuan Zhen explained casually with a smile. Xiaochen thought to himself, this monk is really smart. He did not tell me what it is used for. Indeed, none of the people who rushed to this primal chaos flame were easy to deal with. Xiaochen's expression did not change. He smiled and said, I can be considered half a member of the Buddhist sect. Master Yuan Zhen, please explain it to me. Yuan Zhen nodded and said, since Benefactor Xiao is half a member of the Buddhist sect, you should know that lotus platforms are very common Buddhist treasures in my Buddhist sect. Right. This ice-fire lotus platform was born in this extreme environment. There are no signs of it being artificially modified, so it is known as an innate Buddhist treasure. In the entire martial epoch, only 3 places can give birth to this innate lotus platform. Such a lotus platform would be a rare item, even in my hidden spirit temple. It would be even rarer in other temples. Yuan Zhen continued. Nearly all esteemed monks and powerhouses require such an innate Buddhist treasure. Otherwise, it would not match their status. Hence, it is very rare for people of my Buddhist sect. While Yuanzhen's words sounded reasonable, in reality, it was all nonsense. According to Yuanzhen, this lotus platform was something that esteemed monks and powerhouses used to show off their status. Indeed, it had such a function. However, the true value of the ice-fire lotus platform that Xiaoqun obtained lay in its 360 lotus petals. In the past, the best ice-fire lotus platform only had 180 lotus petals. He had never heard of one with 36 petals. A lotus platform born in the world was not used to show off one's status, but for comprehending Buddhist principles. Even those esteemed monks and powerhouses needed to comprehend some profound Buddhist principles. By using this innate Buddhist treasure, they would be able to achieve twice the results with half the effort. Just think about it. Even esteemed monks and powerhouses had such an effect. What more ordinary people? When using this lotus platform to cultivate Buddhist sect cultivation techniques, it would also have wondrous effects. As for people cultivating other cultivation techniques, it would also be useful. It was not as Yuanzhen said that it was useless to outsiders. More importantly, Xiaoqun's ice-fire lotus platform was a peak quality item among peak quality items. No one knew if it had other wondrous effects. Of course, it did not make sense to say that Yuanzhen was lying. Everything he said was true, he just did not focus on the main points. After hearing the other party's explanation, Xiaoqun said, "It looks like it is indeed useless to me. I can reconsider the exchange." In that case, would Benefactor Xiao like to take a look at my collection? I believe there will be something that Benefactor Xiao will be satisfied with. Seeing the other party so anxious, Xiaoqun smiled in his heart. This monk was not telling him the truth. He said softly, "Sure. Let's talk as we walk." Chapter 2145. With this group of hidden spirit temples people as bodyguards, the return journey could be said to be very peaceful. There were many crafty and sinister foe beasts in the mysterious ice forest. However, there was no need for Xiaoqun to make a move. Along the way, Yuanzhen appeared very enthusiastic, feeling that he would be able to obtain the ice-fire lotus platform. Yuanzhen rejoiced in his heart, but he did not show it. Instead, he chatted happily with Xiaoqun. As Yuanzhen spoke, his impression of Xiaoqun changed significantly. This Xiaoqun had a unique understanding of Buddhism. Xiaoqun did not seem like an outsider who only knew a little about the Buddhist sect. He believed that a monk should not care about the mundane world, living in peace and few desires. Yuanzhen's many insights were refreshing to Yuanzhen. Given this, Yuanzhen was no longer in a rush. Since Yuanzhen was not in a rush, Xiaoqun was even less in a rush. While the two were not in a rush, Feng Xiaobai and the other three were so anxious that rage filled their hearts. The four chased frantically all the way to the Holy Domain's divine capital, but they did not see Xiaoqun's figure. How can it be like this? Feng Xiaobai felt confused. The four of them were half-step sovereign emperors with deep and unfathomable cultivations. Compared to Xiaoqun, their cultivations were much higher. Even if Xiaoqun managed to escape the Sea of Fire first, they should not have been unable to see his figure. Xiaoqun had formed his divine seal and merged his Tao domain with his soul. His soul energy was several times stronger than that of a heaven-defying sovereign personage. The distance that he could explore far surpassed that of Xiaoqun. However, along the way, they did not see Xiaoqun's figure at all. It looks like he has a secret treasure that can teleport people in the holy domain. Damn it. Teleporting in the faux god world was extremely dangerous. Space-time flowed in reverse, and one might get disturbed if one was not careful. Although it was dangerous, it did not mean that it was not possible. One could exchange for such secret treasures with faux god coins in the 100 treasure pavilion. However, the price was high and the quality-price ratio was low. Most people rarely exchanged for them. After thinking about it, this was the only possibility. Otherwise, Xiaoqun would not have disappeared from their sight for no reason. What should we do now? Mu Yunju asked seriously as he looked at the other three. Feng Xiaobai paced in front of the Holy Domain's divine capital, thinking to himself. After a while he said, "Now that we have reached the Holy Domain's divine capital, There is no chance of taking his life anymore. I wonder what happened to the ice-fire divine origin. No matter how I think about it, I'm still full of anger. Now I really can't do anything to him. Aside from some special places in the Holy Domain's divine capital where people could spar, fighting was prohibited elsewhere. Unless both parties were willing, even if they could fight, it was impossible to kill anyone in the Holy Region's divine capital. This was the Saint Domain's prohibition. If something were to happen, even the superpowers behind them wouldn't be able to protect them. The few of them were in a terrible predicament. They couldn't swallow this anger in their hearts, but there was nothing they could do. He heard anxious shouts coming from afar. Turning his head, he saw that it was his junior brother following him. Senior brother, senior brother. When Feng Xiaobai saw his junior brothers flustered and extremely anxious, he frowned and asked, "What's going on? Why are you all so flustered?" After one of them rested, he said in a deep voice, "Senior brother Feng, that Xiaochen hasn't gone far. He's still behind." What? The expressions of Feng Xiaobai and the other three changed drastically. This was truly shocking. They were in disbelief. That's impossible. The four of us chased all the way. How could we let him slip behind us under our noses? Mu Yunju said resolutely, refusing to believe it. Bai Yunfei said coldly, "Since he is behind us with so many of you, could it be that you cannot capture him alone?" The Bushan Palace disciple said with some grievance, "Senior brother Bai, he was with the Hidden Spirit Temples group. They left together from the Primal Chaos Flame Sea. They were chatting and laughing, and their relationship was very good. We did not dare to make a move." Bai Yunfei and the other three were intelligent people. The moment they heard this, their complexions immediately turned ashen. We got fooled. Back then, Xiaochen had purposely mocked them, wanting to infuriate the four into chasing blindly out of humiliation. However, at this moment, the four sneaked behind them and met up with the Hidden Spirit Temples group. The crown prince of an empire, an outstanding talent of a sect, is only so. Now that they thought about it, these words were incredibly ear-piercing, making them blush in embarrassment. The group of junior brothers did not dare to say anything, lest they say something that would anger these four. Damn it! Damn it! To think that this Xiaochen played us like monkeys. Bai Yunfei's handsome face turned completely black at this moment, filled with indescribable rage. He had already been fooled by Xiaochen once in Cloudwater Marsh and the Desolate Sea. Even so, Bai Yunfei respectfully addressed him as senior. That was already a great humiliation. This time he was fooled again. As the saying goes, it's impossible for a person to make the same mistake twice. But Bai Yunfei had been fooled twice in the past. The first time, he was fooled into addressing Xiaochen as senior. This time, he was even more embarrassed. Not only was he fooled, but he was even mocked in public. How could Bai Yunfei endure this? The other three showed extremely unsightly expressions, no less than Bai Yunfei's. They were so frustrated that they nearly vomited blood. However, they could not think of a good solution. "Senior brother, they are here." One of them pointed to the back. Then they saw Xiaochen descending from the sky with the Hidden Spirit Temples group, slowly landing in the Holy Domain's divine capital. Xiaochen chatted happily with Yuanzhen. "I will definitely kill him." The three scarlet marks on Bai Yunfei's forehead formed a beautiful orchid that looked like it would ooze blood. Such a scene startled the other people from the Bushan Palace. They quickly pulled Bai Yunfei back. "Senior brother, calm down. This is the Holy Domain's divine capital. We cannot attack here. There are people watching us from the city walls." "Indeed. Senior brother, it is not worth it for this person." The others feared that Bai Yunfei would act rashly in his anger. If he failed to kill Xiaochen, he would end up in the Holy Domain's heavenly prison. If that happened, he would be completely ruined. That would be exactly what Xiaochen wanted. "Haha! Yuanzhen, brother Bai wants to kill me. As a member of the Buddhist sect, you should advise him to rein in his murderous heart. Being so easily angered is not good for his body." When Xiaochen walked over and saw Bai Yunfei's flustered and exasperated appearance, he laughed without any fear. Yuanzhen stepped forward and pressed his palms together. "May the Buddha bless you. Benefactor Bai, why bother? Since you are already in the holy domain's divine capital, don't cling to your murderous heart. Buddha is merciful. Benefactor Bai, please calm down. Don't be anxious. Don't be impatient. Don't have a murderous heart. Otherwise, it will be hard to dispel your heart demon. You will soon face a bloody calamity. Pusi. To think that this bald donkey Yuanjun actually recited his Dharma name. Bai Yunfei immediately cursed in his heart. However, when the words reached Bai Yunfei's mouth, he could not spit them out. Anger overwhelmed him, and he could not help vomiting a mouthful of blood. His complexion instantly paled, and he looked extremely dispirited. The combination of Bai Yunfei's handsome face and his pale complexion made one's heart ache. Senior brother, senior brother. When the Bushan Palace's disciples from the White Marsh Beast Empire saw this scene, they immediately felt anxious. At the same time, they were startled and horrified. This repulsive monk said that senior brother would face a bloody calamity. To think that it really came true. When Feng Xiaobai and the other two saw this scene, they could not help being startled. They quickly calmed down, no longer getting angry. It looked like this monk was really on the same side as Xiao Chun. Bai Yunfei did not know what he had experienced to hate Xiao Chun to such an extent. After Mu Yunju calmed down, he looked at Xiao Chun and Yuanjun. Then he said, I found it strange that the ice-fire divine origin disappeared for no reason this time. It looks like your hidden spirit temple did something. Feng Xiaobai's expression turned cold as a murderous intent flashed on his face. It looks like the two sides are working together, each taking what they need. One is seeking the ice-fire divine origin, and the other is seeking the ice-fire lotus platform. We were really miserably tricked. What a good scheme. This Feng admires it. Yuanjun immediately felt somewhat anxious. He explained, You really maligned me. The mystery of the ice-fire divine origin's disappearance has nothing to do with the hidden spirit temple. Xiao Hozun retorted indifferently. There is no need for you to explain whether it is related or not. Even now you are still treating us like fools. Do you think that we are really stupid? The mountains will not change, and the rivers will flow forever. Sooner or later, we will settle this debt with your hidden spirit temple. After giving Yuanjun a cold look, Xiao Hozun shifted his gaze to Xiao Chun. Then, he turned and left without saying a word. Yuanjun's expression already turned somewhat unsightly. He felt helpless in his heart. You are really stupid, as stupid as a pig. After speaking nonsense, you thought that you understood everything. You even want to settle this debt with the hidden spirit temple. There is no way to communicate with you. Mu Yunju and the others left one after another, feeling very vexed. They did not want to remain here for another second. Every time they saw Xiao Chun, they would feel angry. If they could not hold back, they would end up like Bai Yunfei. Mu Yunju felt so frustrated that he vomited blood and fainted. After the group of people left, Yuanjun looked at Xiao Chun and asked, Benefactor Xiao, what do you think? Are you willing to trade the ice-fire lotus platform? Xiao Chun nodded and replied, I have considered it very clearly. This ice-fire lotus platform is very important to the Buddhist sect. I intend to personally visit and present it to your honored temple for free. Yuanjun immediately felt stunned. Then he smiled helplessly and said, Benefactor Xiao is really considerate. I will represent the hidden spirit temple in thanking you in advance. You are too polite. I'll take my leave first. Xiao Chun performed a cupped fist salute and left, vanishing from the group's vision. Senior brother, he is tricking us. He said that he is giving it to us, but he did not add a time limit. If he were to give it to us 10 years or 100 years later, we would not be able to reason with him. As Yuanjun looked at Xiao Chun's departing figure, he seemed very open-minded. He smiled and said, How could I not know? He is such an intelligent person. How could he hand over the ice-fire lotus platform just because of some words from me? It is within my expectations. Let's go. This person has a deep friendship with our temple's little ancestor. Remember to treat him politely whenever you see him. Little ancestor. The hidden spirit temple had many old ancestors, but there was only one little ancestor. That was an existence that even the abbot had to avoid. An existence that could not be offended. Upon hearing Yuanjun's words, The other hidden spirit temple disciples all trembled, feeling that it had been a close call. No wonder this Xiaochen could fool them. How could someone who had a deep friendship with the little ancestor and did not die be someone to offend? That was not right. It was not a question of whether Xiaochen should be offended or not. It was as senior brother Yuan Zhen said. Xiaochen absolutely could not be offended. As everyone looked at Xiaochen, they felt that his back seemed much taller. Chapter 2146. Once he entered the Holy Domain's divine capital, he would be completely safe. When Xiaochen returned to his own courtyard, he heaved a sigh of relief. It was really a narrow escape from death this time. He had only wanted to kill some mastiffs in the periphery, but someone had set up a trap, and he had nearly died to the mastiffs. Xiaochen only wanted to nurture the heavenly snow divine flame, and the universe origin true flame. However, the moment he opened his eyes, the leaders of the 4 super factions targeted him. Fortunately, there was no danger, and the harvest was not bad. Now that Xiaochen's cultivation reached peak consummation, he could be considered officially a heaven-defying sovereign personage. As a sovereign personage, one's veritable essence energy and soul energy had already been cultivated to their limits. There was no more room for improvement. Nurturing the universe origin true flame and the heavenly snow divine flame was part of the plan. His cultivation was a pleasant surprise. Normally, it would take at least a year or 2 of hard work to reach the peak. This was because the faux god world had an extremely dense environment in the first place. Furthermore, there were all sorts of resources that could be exchanged for with faux god coins. The next direction of cultivation was to condense divine seals. After forming the divine seal, the might of Xiaochen's soul energy and Dao domain would reach a whole new level. At that time, even if Feng Xiaobai and the others worked together, Xiaochen would not fear them. In the primal chaos flame sea, Xiaochen had to use a scheme to trick these 4 people away. This was because the 4 were peak experts among half-step sovereign emperors. With the support of their divine seals, they were able to survive. Martial techniques and cultivation techniques could bring out a might far surpassing that of a heaven-defying sovereign personage. It would be fine if 1 person worked together. However, if 4 worked together, Xiaochen would not stand a chance of victory. Forming a divine seal was the first step to breaking through to the sovereign emperor realm. It was crucial to the sovereign emperor realm. Divine seals were divided into different levels. The more Dao domains that fused with the soul, the stronger the divine seal. The attributes of the Dao domain would also affect the divine seal. For example, the divine seal formed by the Death Dao domain was stronger than the divine seal formed by the Thunder Dao domain. Of course, it would be much more difficult. Right now, Xiaochen only grasped 1 Dao domain, the Saber Dao and the Ice Dao. He had yet to break through to the Dao domain. As for reincarnation, he was still stuck at the level of will. He had yet to grasp the Dao of reincarnation. If he had a choice, Xiaochen would naturally choose to merge the cycle Dao domain with his soul and form a divine seal. However, this was clearly unrealistic. The will of cycle was too difficult to cultivate. While Xiaochen was confident of grasping the cycle Dao, he did not know if he could break through to the Dao domain. This was because the reincarnation Dao was too powerful. It had already surpassed time and space. It was an ability that even faux gods would find difficult to grasp. Putting aside the Samsara Dao for now, Xiaochen was not someone who was willing to be mediocre. He would definitely not just fuse a single Dao domain with his soul. If Xiaochen could not break through to the Dao domain in his Ice Dao and Saber Dao, he definitely would not form a divine seal. Next, I'll focus my cultivation on comprehending the Saber Dao and the Ice Dao. Xiaochen revealed a contemplative expression. It seemed that because he had merged with the Ice-Fire divine origin, he felt that his Ice Dao could break through to the Dao domain at any time. On the other hand, Xiaochen's specialty, the Saber Dao, was forever separated from the Dao domain by a thin layer of fog. It felt very close yet very far. He had once lost some things, and it was extremely difficult to find them again. Oh, right, I have not looked at my Ice-Fire Lotus platform in detail yet. Xiaochen had nearly forgotten about one of his greatest gains on this trip. With a thought, The ice-fire lotus platform flew out of his storage ring. The lotus platform consisted of a total of 360 lotus leaves. It had a natural Tao and spiritual energy. With one look, one could tell that it was extraordinary. As Xiaochen looked at the lotus platform floating in the air, he entered deep thought. I probably won't be able to make out anything from just looking at it. I don't know much about the ice-fire lotus platform, either. I have to ask someone. Let's go to the 100 Treasure Pavilion. The 100 Treasure Pavilion was a place where one could exchange faux god coins for treasures. There were excellent appraisers there. They could appraise any treasure. Of course, that was on the premise that one had sufficient faux god coins. After a while, Xiaochen arrived at the 100 Treasure Pavilion's appraisal area. This item does not need any special appraisal. Give me 500 faux god coins, and I can tell you its origins and uses. The appraiser was an old man with white hair and a ruddy complexion. His cultivation was unfathomable. He gave a price with one look. Xiaochen still had some faux god coins on hand, so he happily handed over 500 faux god coins and waited for the appraiser's answer. This is the Ice-Fire Lotus platform, born in the Ice-Fire continent. The Ice-Fire Lotus platform has always been favored by the Buddhist sect's esteemed monks. Its greatest use is comprehending the Tao. Even the esteemed monks of the Buddhist sect can use this item to help them comprehend Buddhist principles. When Xiaochen heard that, he felt excited. Indeed, Yuanzhen had kept a trick up his sleeve. How was this a lotus platform that esteemed monks used to show off their status? It was clearly a priceless treasure. For others, they can use this lotus platform to comprehend the Tao, martial techniques, and some mysteries. It can allow them to achieve twice the results with half the effort. It is similar to the faux god prayer mats in the comprehension platform. However, as it is naturally formed, it is even better. The appraiser continued. If this item is forged using a Buddhist sect's secret technique, it can be refined into a soul tool that can be used to ward off lightning and undergo tribulations. The most important thing is that your Ice-Fire Lotus platform has a total of 368 lotus petals. The highest quality lotus platform that appeared in the Ice-Fire Wasteland only has 160 petals. Its value is simply inestimable. I nearly got cheated. Xiaochen thought to himself, I got lucky. Had I listened to Yuanzhen, I would have cried myself to death. Xiaochen suppressed his excitement and asked, do I need a Buddhist sect's secret technique to forge it? Can the faux god world refine it? No. The appraiser shook his head. Then he looked at Xiaochen and gave a negative answer. Then he added, you are a member of the Heavenly Alliance. Perhaps the Heavenly Alliance can think of something after you go out. After all, the Heavenly Alliance gathers all the Grandmaster blacksmiths in the world. It might be possible. Many thanks. This gave Xiaochen some hope that he could think of something after he went out. The old man was very responsible. After saying that, he explained the many uses of the Ice-Fire Lotus platform to Xiaochen. The old man even explained its origins in detail, including the strong secret treasures forged using it in history. This made Xiaochen feel that the 500 faux god coins were worth it. After receiving the Ice-Fire Lotus platform, he thanked the old man again. Young Master Xiao, you are too polite. This is just this old man's duty, the old man said with a smile, feeling satisfied with Xiaochen's politeness. Xiaochen raised his eyebrows and asked, feeling curious, Senior, you know me? Naturally. You broke the 1,000-year record for the Trial Tower's first floor, and you broke the third floor's highest difficulty in history. How can I not know you? I remember that many faux god bladesmen wanted to take you as a disciple back then. However, Senior Shimu stopped them, the appraiser said casually with a nod. The appraiser nodded slightly as he spoke casually. However, his words shocked Xiaochen. What? Back then, many faux god bladesmen wanted to take me as a disciple, but this Senior Shimu stopped them? Xiaochen did not feel surprised when he heard that. Back then he only thought that he was not too outstanding and did not overthink it. Unexpectedly, there was such a secret, which flabbergasted him. Is this true? Of course. How can I speak carelessly about such a thing? Xiaochen did not say anything more. He performed a cupped fist salute and took his leave. When he walked out of the 100 Treasure Pavilion, he felt somewhat confused. Why did Senior Shimu do this? Is it because I defeated his statue, so he hates me? That's not right. If he hates me out of jealousy, he would not have given me the painting and let me obtain the fiendish saber inheritance. Ha, the thoughts of that old senior are really unfathomable. Xiaochun sighed and stopped thinking. Then, he returned to the courtyard and took out the second painting that Lu Benwei once gave him. The style of the second painting was different from the first one. It was very realistic. It was a picture of a lake with ripples on the surface of the lake. A drop of water slowly fell from the sky. Aside from that, there was nothing else. Compared to the first painting, this second painting was even simpler and more ordinary, even harder to understand. However, Xiaochun comprehended all things rejoicing together from the first painting. This second painting definitely had its mysteries. Now that Xiaochun's saber Dao had reached a bottleneck, he placed most of his hopes of breaking through the bottleneck of the Dao domain on this second painting. Perhaps it would be better for me to sit on the lotus platform and comprehend it. As he thought this, Xiaochun took out the ice fire lotus platform and sat down cross-legged. Xiaochun immediately sensed a profound and incomprehensible feeling coming from the lotus platform, filling his entire body. It was just like when he comprehended at the bottom of the lake. Xiaochun now understood. It turned out that he was already sitting on the vague form of the lotus platform at that time. Let's not care about that for now. Let's see what exactly is so profound about this painting. Chapter 2147. In the Void God Realm, in a place where clouds and mist lingered, a group of mountains could be faintly seen. The majestic mountain range was like a coiled dragon soaring through the clouds. The mountain peak was like a blade, piercing through the sky, standing proudly. This was where fiendish saber Shimu cultivated in seclusion in the faux god world. Whoosh! An air-piercing sound rang out, and a figure shuttled through the clouds like a celestial being. His posture was agile and his temperament was extraordinary. It was Lu Benwei, one of fiendish saber Shimu's nominal disciples. At the peak of the mountain range, in the depths of the endless clouds and mist, there was a mountain peak that stood upside down. Countless vines wrapped around it, giving it an ancient and boundless feeling. Lu Benwei flew all the way, and when he arrived he slowly landed. There were many ancient buildings on the inverted platform. Lu Benwei walked toward one of them. His master, fiendish saber Shimu, was waiting for him. Strange, why did master suddenly summon me here? Lu Benwei thought to himself, feeling a little puzzled. Generally speaking, his master rarely summoned him without saying anything. If he had any instructions, he would definitely inform him in advance, so that he could make preparations. Lu Benwei felt some doubt when he saw fiendish saber Shimu. After bowing respectfully, he said, "Greetings, master. I wonder, why did master summon this disciple?" Fiendish saber Shimu had a head full of white hair, and wrinkles covered his old face. Only his eyes remained frighteningly sharp. "It's nothing. Let me ask you, did Xiaochun look for you?" Lu Benwei was stunned when he heard this, but he still answered truthfully, "Master, Xiaochun hasn't looked for me for more than a year. He hasn't contacted me at all." Fiendish saber Shimu could not help feeling stunned. He stroked his beard and muttered, "That shouldn't be the case. Could it be that he couldn't see through the mysteries of the painting? He didn't have any doubts at all. With his talent, he should be able to see the abnormality." Shimu did not think that Xiaochun could comprehend the mysteries of the painting so quickly. However, he should be able to tell that the painting was extraordinary. According to his conjecture, since he could see the abnormality but didn't know much about it, he should seek Lu Benwei's advice. However, it had been more than a year since he had contacted Lu Benwei. Shimu felt confused. Strange, did I make a mistake? He really couldn't see through the mysteries of the painting. Couldn't he guess what kind of opportunity was contained in the painting? If he had known about the inheritance represented by the fortuitous encounter in the painting, how could he not be tempted? If it were anyone else, he would have long sought out Lu Benwei. After some thought, he felt that this was not a bad idea. This means that this brat cannot compare to my younger self. It was just a coincidence that he defeated my statue in the trial tower. With this thought, fiendish Saber Shimu smiled and said, "Go and bring him over. Say that I want to meet him." Lu Benwei could not help but ask in surprise, "Master, what are you doing?" Fiendish Saber Shimu smiled and said, "This fellow is pretty good. I want to take him in as a nominal disciple and give him some pointers." Lu Benwei was speechless. He didn't understand what his master's logic was, but since it was an order, he just had to follow it. Yes, this disciple will obey master's orders. In the Holy Domain's divine capital, Xiaoqun sat cross-legged. He had been comprehending the Tao on the ice-fire lotus platform for more than half a month. In his eyes, the painting in front of him was no longer the same as what he had seen in the past. Xiaoqun's vision was now focused on the lake in the painting, on the droplet of water falling from the air. The droplet of water and the lake. One was insignificant, the other vast. One was nimble, and the other was calm. The scene looked peaceful, a droplet of water and a lake. In reality, there were surging undercurrents, clashing with one another. In Xiaoqun's eyes, this droplet was like a powerful bladesman showing off his sharpness. It was a powerful bladesman with lofty ambitions, carrying the courage to die as it fell from the sky. This droplet of water had lofty ambitions. This droplet of water wanted to challenge a lake. The scene continued to change. Xiaoqun felt like he was in the painting, seeing nothing but emptiness. Rain was about to fall from the sky. Thunder rumbled, and thousands of droplets of water fell from the sky. However, a droplet of water gathered in the sky, unmoved. It allowed the other droplets of water to come and go, leaving them to fate as they fell from the sky. This droplet of water remained unmoved. This was a lonely droplet of water, and also a proud droplet of water. Whoosh! The rainwater on the ground gathered into countless tributaries, slowly forming a lake in front of Xiaoqun. The surface of the lake widened. However, that droplet of water continued to hang high in the sky, unmoved. The heavens were enraged. The thunderclouds scattered, and the blazing sun hung high in the sky, punishing on behalf of the heavens, using the power of the sun to scatter this droplet of water. However, something strange happened. When this droplet of water shone on it, it glistened like crystal. The hotter the sunlight, the more resplendent it was, the more dazzling this droplet of water became. This droplet of water was so proud. The sun set and the sun rose. This blazing sun roasted this droplet of water for 3,333 years. However, this droplet of water remained as proud as before, not changing its past. The heavens were enraged. Then, the heavens used thousands of lightning bolts to strike it, wanting to completely destroy it. Another 3,333 years passed. This droplet of water did not change its past, remaining as proud as before. The heavens raged and used strong winds to torture it for 3,333 years. The blazing sun, strong winds, and lightning tormented it for a total of 9,999 years. However, this droplet of water remained as proud as before. For 9,999 years, the lightning, strong winds, and intense flames could not change its past. It only made it shine even more resplendent, washing away all the impurities on its body. It became crystalline and pure, as beautiful as a demon. What is a demon? Someone as lonely as me, hanging high in the 9 heavens for 10,000 years, existing alone. What is a demon? Someone as proud as me, not fearing the heavenly might. Just like that, Xiaoqun watched this droplet of water for 9,999 years, watching this droplet of water hang high in the sky, not changing its past. The scene suddenly changed. Xiaoqun retreated and saw this droplet of water continue falling. When this droplet of water landed on the lake, the vast lake instantly exploded. The sky also shattered at this moment. This droplet of water expelled all of the lake's water. The droplet of water pierced through the lake and exploded the boundless lake water. No matter how much water there was in the lake, it could not contain the heart of this droplet of water. Boom! Xiaoqun felt shocked. In the next moment he startled awake. Xiaoqun's entire body was drenched in sweat as if he had had a very long dream. Then he looked at the painting floating in front of him. The scene in the painting still had not changed. It was still a droplet of water slowly falling, and the lake remained calm and peaceful. Xiaochen leaped down and put away the ice-fire lotus platform. Then he opened the painting in his hand and carefully looked at it, entering deep thought. Even a droplet of water can become a demon. The blazing sun, strong winds, and lightning cannot destroy it. It only adds to its elegance, making it look even more demonic. Not going with the flow, not following the will of heaven, not respecting the heavenly might. A droplet of water shatters the sky. Xiaochen entered deep thought. The inheritance contained in this painting was simply incredible. Fiendish Saber Shimu's nominal disciple, Lu Benwei, comes to seek an audience with the Heavenly Alliance's Xiaochen. Just as Xiaochen was deep in thought, Lu Benwei's voice rang out in the courtyard. Xiaochen muttered, "What is he doing here? Is he here to give me the third painting?" After putting away the painting, Xiaochen went out to receive Lu Benwei. Then he performed a cupped fist salute and said, "Greetings, big brother Lu." Lu Benwei gave Xiaochen a strange look. "You look very pale. Did something go wrong with your cultivation?" Xiaochen knew that he had exhausted too much of his mind while comprehending the second painting. So he wanted to tell the truth and ask for guidance. Lu Benwei asked, "Do you need to rest? My master would like to meet you." "Fiendish Saber Shimu wants to meet me? Alright, I want to meet him as well." Xiaochen was very curious about what kind of existence this Fiendish Saber Shimu was. Why did Shimu reject all the other foe gods who wanted to take him in as a disciple and refused to take him in as a disciple? Also, why did Shimu give him the Fiendish Saber painting? "There's no need. We can leave now. Big brother Lu, please lead the way." Xiaochen immediately answered without hesitation. "Come with me then." Lu Benwei nodded slightly and sized up Xiaochen. He also wondered why his master suddenly wanted to take Xiaochen in as a nominal disciple. The two were filled with questions as they rushed to where Fiendish Saber Shimu cultivated. Chapter 2148. Big brother Lu, might I know why Senior Fiendish Saber is looking for me? Xiaochen asked Lu Benwei out of curiosity along the way. Lu Benwei led the way without answering. After a while he said, "Let's talk after we meet master. Since he did not instruct me to tell you, he clearly does not want you to know." So mysterious, Xiaochen thought to himself. This only piqued his curiosity. 15 minutes later, the two slowly distanced themselves from the Holy Domain's divine capital. Lu Benwei said, "Follow me closely. I'm going to bring you through a few spatial tiers. Don't get lost. Otherwise, it will be very problematic." Right. At the mention of spatial tiers, Xiaochen could not help being more cautious. If he got lost in one, it would be really troublesome. Lu Benwei did not lie. Not long after he spoke, his figure flashed and entered a spatial tear. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Xiaochen quickly followed, not daring to hesitate. After passing through 6 spatial tiers, the scene before him suddenly opened up. He saw an incredibly vast mountain range shrouded in clouds. Occasionally, mountain peaks broke through the clouds. They were like powerful sabers shining with a dazzling light. Just as one was about to find them, they hid in the clouds. This was truly astonishing. Many winding mountain peaks, many demonic geniuses in the cloud sea. These words suddenly appeared in Xiaochen's mind, making him feel as if he was on an isolated mountain peak. These isolated mountain peaks seemed to have a mind of their own. The instant they broke through the cloud sea, Xiaochen's bloodline surged involuntarily. A saber intent wanted to break out of his body to compete with them. It was like the mountain peaks were not mountains, but powerful bladesmen. Clang. Suddenly, before Xiaochen could react, he could no longer hold back the saber intent that he suppressed in his body, bursting out. A mountain peak appeared in the cloud sea and also shot out a saber intent. The two saber intents clashed intensely in the vast cloud sea, producing metallic clangs that resounded in the world. Dang, 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 dang. In that instant, countless hidden mountain peaks appeared at the same time. When each mountain peak appeared, it gave off a strand of saber intent. Immediately, the The boundless cloud sea for 500,000 kilometers reverberated with boundless saber intent. Xiao Chen's expression immediately changed. What's going on? Brother Lu. Turning his head to look, Lu Benwei had already disappeared without him knowing. Brother Xiao Chen, this is Master's test. Don't worry too much. Lu Benwei's voice rang out in Xiao Chen's mind, but he was nowhere to be found. Xiao Chen did not have much time to think. In an instant, hundreds of saber intents shot at him. Senior brother, this Xiao Chen doesn't seem like much. He's only taken a few steps, but he's already unable to suppress the saber intent in his body. Outside the sea of clouds, 5 people stood side by side, 4 men and 1 woman, looking at Xiao Chen, who was deep in the sea of clouds. That woman was elegant and had a face that could topple a city. She looked at Xiao Chen with a complicated expression. This was the Divine Dragon Empire's White Dragon Holy Daughter, Lu Ruyue. The 5 were Fiendish Saber Shimu's nominal disciples. Aside from Lu Benwei, the others were new members of the other super factions. Because they showed extraordinary talent in the Saber Dao, Shimu took a fancy to them. However, he did not formally take them in as disciples. I think he is in trouble. He is too careless, activating hundreds of fiendish peaks in one go. He will be finished if he gets struck by one. Junior Sister Lu, what do you think? The one who spoke was a handsome man from the profound Heaven Holy Land. His name was Zhang Yushan. Lu Ruyue felt some disgust in her heart, but her expression did not change. She replied indifferently, "It's hard to say." Zhang Yushan smiled and said, "What's so hard to say? I don't believe that he can retreat unscathed." Clang. Right after Zhang Yushan spoke, Xiao Chen drew his saber and danced in the cloud sea. The flawless saber Dao used the body as a saber and the intent as a saber. In this breath, Xiao Chen's entire body burst out with thousands of saber lights. Ding, ding, dang, dang. Xiao Chen's fine black hair fluttered, and saber hums sounded like zither music. At the crucial moment, he brought out his flawless saber Dao to its limits. In nearly an instant, Xiao Chen sent out more than 1,000 saber strikes, draining 1/3 of his veritable essence energy. Saber chi surged, erupting with resplendent light in the cloud sea. Xiao Chen barely managed to block the hundreds of saber lights from the fiendish peaks. Upon seeing this scene, the expression of Zhang Yushan, who just finished speaking, changed slightly. Then he shut his mouth and remained silent. However, Lu Benwei, who was at the side, remained silent. Xiao Chen activated hundreds of fiendish peaks in one go. It was not that he was careless. It was just that the saber intent in his body was too sharp. Although Xiao Chen had not comprehended the saber Dao domain, the sharpness of this saber intent surpassed that of the 4 people beside him. After all, Xiao Chen was someone Master took a fancy to. Since he managed to avoid this calamity, the remaining tests should not be a problem. Indeed, as Lu Benwei expected, when these fiendish peaks first appeared, they caught Xiao Chen off guard. Xiao Chen nearly fell for it on the spot. After Xiao Chen stabilized himself and brought out his normal strength, dealing with the rest became easier. Soon, the clouds parted, and the fiendish peaks disappeared. An ancient, inverted peak with thousands of vines hanging from it appeared in Xiao Chen's vision. Xiao Chen sheathed his saber. He knew that he had passed the test and could meet Senior Shimu now. However, Xiao Chen felt somewhat dissatisfied in his heart. This Senior Shimu is really strange. He is clearly the one who wants to meet me, yet he is testing me. If it were Xiao Chen's previous temper, he would have left on the spot. However, after thinking about it, the other party was a foe god expert, a powerful bladesman of his generation. He had a temper, so there was no need to bother with him. Xiao Chen. A voice called out. Xiao Chen turned his head to look and saw Lu Benwei. There were 4 other people beside him. Xiao Chen's expression immediately changed. Then he looked at Lu Ruyue. To think that she was here as well. These are the nominal disciples that Master took in. They are the new members of the various super factions. Let's go and meet Master now. I will introduce them to you later. Lu Benwei pointed to the 4 people beside him and explained to Xiao Chen. Aside from Lu Ruyue, the other 3 looked at Xiao Chen with some disdain. They did not even nod or greet him. When Lu Benwei saw this scene, he smiled coldly in his heart. These three relied on their half-step sovereign emperor cultivation to comprehend the Saber Dao domain. Furthermore, they had already comprehended the Saber Dao domain. Furthermore, they had become nominal disciples long ago, so they somewhat looked down on Xiaoqun. However, they did not know that Xiaoqun, whom Master had not met personally, held a much higher position than the other four. Xiaoqun's status was much higher than theirs. He even gave Xiaoqun 2 fiendish saber inheritance paintings. Furthermore, these four only cultivated on the mountain and received pointers. They had not even seen the fiendish saber inheritance paintings. Xiaoqun did not care about the four's attitude. He only looked at Lu Ruyue and smiled. "We meet again." When Lu Ruyue heard that, a blush flashed on her face. She remembered the last time the two met. Under the bright moon, in the center of the lake, Xiaoqun had taken advantage of her being caught off guard to kiss the back of her hand. However, Lu Ruyue adjusted her emotions in the blink of an eye. Then she said, "Indeed, we meet again. This is the Faux God world. I will not interfere with your grudge with the Divine Dragon Empire. However, if you dare to pester me, I do not mind capturing you and bringing you back to the Empire." In name, Xiaoqun was still a wanted person in the Divine Dragon Empire, the White Dragon Holy Daughter. As the White Dragon Holy Daughter, Lu Ruyue naturally had a duty to capture Xiaoqun and bring him back to the Divine Dragon Empire. However, she only said that. Because of her younger sister, Lu Ruyue did not care about capturing Xiaoqun. Given that, Lu Ruyue just wanted Xiaoqun to stop making things difficult for her. On one hand, this person had taken liberties with her. On the other hand, Xiaoqun was her younger sister's sworn friend. Maintaining a distance between them was the best choice. Many thanks. When Xiaoqun heard that, he smiled faintly and thanked Lu Ruyue. However, a dense melancholy flashed in the depths of his eyes. If it were in the past, Lu Ruyue would not have said that to him. She would have doted on him instead. However, now the two of them, who clearly loved each other, stood together like strangers. When Xiaoqun smiled seriously on his delicate face, he looked very pretty, like an iceberg melting. However, no one could understand the sorrow behind his smile. It was indescribable. Even so, Xiaoqun still felt very happy. This smile came from the bottom of his heart, driven by his true feelings. As for the sorrow and helplessness, he could just savor it himself. "Let's go then." Lu Benwei did not overthink. He only felt that his master was still waiting, so he called out for everyone to follow. "Stay away from junior sister Ruyue. I have 10,000 ways to make trash like you live a life worse than death." Zhang Yushan whispered a threat as he passed by Xiaoqun. Then he gave Xiaoqun a cold look before catching up to Lu Benwei. Chapter 2149. Stay away from junior sister Ryu. Zhang Yushan's threat lingered in Xiaoqun's ears, but he ignored it. Xiaoqun was currently immersed in some memories of the past. When he saw Lu Ruyue again, he felt very conflicted. He could not be bothered with this fly. "Master, this fellow is very despicable. Should we teach him a lesson?" The demon blood vulture said angrily as it materialized and turned into a beautiful, demonic, scarlet bird perched on Xiaoqun's shoulder. Xiaoqun said indifferently, "He is just a fly. There is no need to mind him." After following the group for about 7 minutes, Xiaoqun saw Fiendish Saber Shimu in a large hall. The simple and plain hall had simple decorations. Compared to the demonic atmosphere outside, it looked somewhat out of place. "Greetings, Master." Lu Benwei stepped forward and bowed. The others performed cupped fist salutes at the same time. As Xiaoqun bowed, he quietly sized up Fiendish Saber Shimu. Shimu had a head of white hair and a face full of wrinkles, giving him an aged air. As he looked at the group, he nodded slightly. Xiaoqun thought to himself, "This senior Shimu before me is very different from the one I saw in the trial tower." The senior Shimu in the trial tower was strangely handsome, possessing a delicate beauty that did not belong to a woman. His entire body gave off a fiendish aura, living up to the name Fiendish Saber. This senior Shimu before Xiaoqun was an old man with an extraordinary air but a lethargic air, appearing very ordinary. If one had to say what was special about him, It would be his eyes. Xiaochen could vaguely see the sharpness of the past, the vastness of the years. Yes, master. Disciple and the other junior brothers welcomed young Master Xiao together. After Lu Benwei made the introductions, he led Lu Ruyue, Zhang Yushan, and the others out of the hall to watch from afar. Greetings, Senior Shimu. I am honored to be summoned. Xiaochen stepped forward and bowed formally, expressing his respect and admiration for a faux god expert. This was respect from the bottom of his heart. The martial Dao was difficult. After the heavenly realm shattered, the martial Dao became even more difficult. Since then, it was already extremely rare for one to surpass the limits of mortals and advance to sovereign emperor. One could dominate a region and be called a peak expert. Surpassing sovereign emperor and igniting the divine flame to become a faux god was even more difficult. Faux gods already stood at the peak of the martial epic's pyramid. Any faux god was an expert that others looked up to. Aside from Lu Benwei, Lu Ruyue, and the others did not know why Shimu's master called Xiaochen over. Junior sister seems to have some old grudges with this kid. If it's inconvenient for you to make a move, senior brother is willing to do it on your behalf. When Zhang Yushan heard what Lu Ruyue said earlier, he tried to curry favor with her. Lu Ruyue did not have a good impression of Zhang Yushan at all as she cultivated in this mountain. If it wasn't for the fact that they were from the same sect, he wouldn't have given them any face. Now that he started a conversation for no reason, he was in a bad mood. Furthermore, as the White Dragon Saintess, she had long been famous in the southern region. She had high standards, and her talent and bloodline were excellent. Hearing those words, he was quite displeased and said coldly, "You think I'm not strong enough?" Zhang Yushan was snubbed, so he smiled sheepishly and said, I wouldn't dare. Lu Benwei found this funny. However, he was rather old and had long since passed the age to care about such trivial matters. His expression did not change, but he did not say anything. Senior brother, I think this brat and Lu Ruyue have some sort of relationship. The White Dragon Saintess is famous for her decisiveness in killing in the southern region. She is no weaker than the Dragon God Crown Prince. If she has a grudge with Xiaochen, how can she let him off so easily? Zhang Yushan moved to the side, and the other two junior brothers stepped forward. Naturally, I thought of that. Earlier, I probed him with my words, and I think I'm most likely right. Zhang Yushan looked at Xiaochen, who was standing in the hall. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and he did not say anything else. Why do you think Master is looking for this brat? Could it be that he wants to take him in as a disciple? Could it be that Master does not fancy any of us? Nonsense. He probably doesn't fancy you. First senior brother should know. However, first senior brother is really tight-lipped, not revealing a single word. The three had known each other for a long time. After seeing Xiaochen display his saber skills in the Fiend Peaks, they felt some enmity for him. They worried that fiendish saber Shimu might really take Xiaochen in as a disciple. Unfortunately, fiendish saber Shimu called Xiaochen over to take him in as a disciple. Shimu stood up and looked at Xiaochen. He felt satisfied with Xiaochen's words, actions and bearing. Then he nodded slightly and smiled. Not bad. I've long heard that the Heavenly Alliance has produced the youngest member in history with incredible talent for the saber. I've been paying attention to you since you challenged the trial tower. Breaking the 1,000-year-old record on the first floor left a deep impression on me. Actually, breaking his statue clone on the third floor left an even deeper impression. However, Shimu was stubborn and proud. He definitely would not mention such an embarrassing matter. Honestly speaking, Shimu felt conflicted when facing Xiaochen. On one hand, he cherished Xiaochen's talent and wished that he could immediately pass on his mantle. On the other hand, he did not want to admit defeat. This time, Shimu made up his mind to take Xiaochen as a disciple mainly because he concluded that Xiaochen could not comprehend the inheritance painting that he gave him. Shimu was still not as good as his younger self. Hence, he convinced himself and gave himself a way out. Then he quickly summoned Xiaochen. When Xiaochen heard that, he thought to himself, I really can't figure you out. Since you think so highly of me, why do you only summon me after almost 2 years? Why do you not allow the other faux god bladesmen to take me in as a disciple? Naturally, Xiaochen could not show such emotions. He could only express his honor. The two chatted for a while, mostly about trivial matters, not related to anything else. However, Shimu's words were sharp, all related to the saber Dao. Shimu already felt very satisfied with Xiaochen's calm response. Xiaochen, have you taken a master before? If you have, who is your master? Shimu suddenly asked, changing the topic. Xiaochen's heart skipped a beat. At this point he finally understood Shimu's intention in summoning him. Xiaochen's expression did not change, but the expressions of Zhang Yushan and the other two changed drastically. Shimu wanted to take Xiaochen in as a personal disciple. Generally speaking, nominal disciples didn't need to worry too much about sectarian views, and didn't need to care too much. However, a personal disciple was different. Xiaochen wanted to inherit his mantle and nurture him as a successor. Shimu needed to clarify this. If Xiaochen had taken an expert before, there would be some conflict and he needed to think about it further. Lu Benwei was not surprised. Before he came, he already knew his master's intentions. However, when he saw it for himself, he still felt somewhat gratified. He had followed his master for hundreds of years. Although their relationship was deep, he was only a nominal disciple. Xiaochen knew the reason. He was anxious that Xiaochen was not talented enough. Inheriting his master's mantle would only bring shame to the name of the fiendish saber, preventing it from flourishing. Xiaochen did not like that either. Actually, Xiaochen knew that his master was very anxious. He had always wanted to find a truly talented bladesman. His master had imparted everything he knew to Xiaochen, fulfilling his wish before he died. However, his master was proud and stubborn, unwilling to compromise at all. As a result, he had always been depressed. Now that Shimu wanted to take Xiaochen in, he had fulfilled one of his greatest wishes. This was good. Lu Ruyue was rather calm. Shimu had accepted her because he owed the White Dragon old ancestor a favor, giving her pointers in the saber technique. However, Lu Ruyue's style was different from the fiendish saber. Furthermore, she had always been confident that even if she did not inherit the fiendish saber's mantle, she could carve her own path. However, the expressions of Zhang Yushan and the other two flickered, appearing uncertain. They felt somewhat unhappy in their hearts. Xiaochen replied calmly, "There is only one person who truly has a master-disciple relationship with this junior. She is the most important person in my life. She is my first teacher and the person I love the most." When Shimu heard that, he revealed a smile. If it was just his first teacher, there was no problem. As for the relationship between Xiaochen and this first teacher, it was not something that Shimu cared about. Outside the hall, when Lu Ruyue heard what Xiaochen said, she thought to herself, "The person I love the most already has a lover?" Thinking of this, she felt a strange pain in her heart for some reason. Good. Xiaochen, since that is the case, I'll be direct. I want to take you in as my disciple and pass on my mantle to you. Not as a nominal disciple, but as a personal disciple. Fiendish saber Shimu revealed a relieved smile on his wrinkled face, appearing very happy. When Shimu smiled in high spirits, the wrinkles on his face disappeared, making him look much younger. A faux god, a peak bladesman at that, wanted to take Xiaochen as a disciple. Even if Xiaochen had not come into contact with the fiendish saber inheritance, he had no reason to reject it. After coming into contact with it, he had even less reason to reject. I am extremely honored. Xiaochen performed a cupped fist salute. Fiendish saber Shimu stroked his beard and smiled. Very well. Take out the first painting that I got Benwei to give you. I'll explain it to you in detail. Given your talent and comprehension ability, you will definitely be able to comprehend it in less than a month with my guidance. When Xiaochen heard that, his heart immediately skipped a beat. It's over. This painting was burned to ashes long ago. However, after thinking about it, he realized that he was already Shimu's disciple. There should be no problem with telling Shimu that he comprehended the inheritance and obtained the fiend blood. Reporting to Master, this disciple has already comprehended the first painting. However, the painting is already burned to ashes and cannot be taken out. Currently, I am comprehending the second painting. There are some things that I do not understand. How can a drop of rain destroy the sky? After Xiaochen spoke, he took out the second painting and asked for guidance. However, even after Xiaochen spoke for a long time, Shimu did not say anything. Xiaochen maintained the posture of opening the painting, feeling somewhat embarrassed. The silence in the hall was somewhat scary. The atmosphere suddenly turned strange. Zhang Yushan and the others outside the hall rejoiced in their hearts. It seemed like there was a turning point, so they immediately turned nervous. What's wrong? Lu Ruyue clearly sensed that Xiaochen's expression changed drastically after he took out the painting. Xiaochen's heart thumped heavily. Unexpectedly, he broke out in a cold sweat. He said in confusion, "Master." "Who is your master?" Shimu had already withdrawn his smile. Now he laughed coldly, making everyone tremble in fear. When Xiaochen heard that, he said awkwardly, "Senior, you said it yourself earlier." Shimu retorted coldly, "I do not take in people who speak nonsense. You said that you comprehended it, so you comprehended it?" Xiaochen felt some rage in his heart. Even if you are a senior, a faux god expert who stands at the peak of the martial Dao, someone who I am not even an ant to you, there is no need to toy with me like this, right? You are the one who gave me the painting. You are also the one who stopped the other faux god experts from taking me in. You are also the one who summoned me and took me in as a disciple. I, Xiaochen, did not beg you to take me in. What did I do wrong? What do you mean I speak nonsense? I, Xiaochen, never boast. If I say it, it means it. Look carefully and see if I have comprehended it or not. Xiaochen was also filled with rage. Earlier, when he saw Lu Ruyue, he felt somewhat suppressed. Now that he vented his anger, he could no longer suppress it. His respect for a faux god expert was also tossed to the back of his mind. Xiaochen's hot-bloodedness surged as he unleashed all the saber intent in his body, using the resentment in his heart. Then Xiaochen drew his saber and pointed it at the sky. The ground seemed to sense the rage and dissatisfaction in Xiaochen's heart. It seemed to have a life of its own, resonating with his saber intent and surging like waves. What is a fiend? I rejoice with all things. In that instant, thousands of saber lights shot out from the ground. In just an instant, thousands of holes appeared in this ancient hall, which had a formation supporting it. Beams of light pierced through the holes and gathered on Xiaochen's body, showing the tyranny of the fiendish saber. The light lasted for only 1 second. In the next moment, the entire ancient hall collapsed. This ancient hall, which had existed for countless years, turned into ruins without any signs of life. Zhang Yushan and the others outside the hall were flabbergasted. They were all shocked by Xiaochen's grace at this moment. "Senior, did I speak nonsense?" Xiaochen asked as he sheathed his saber. Fiendish saber Shimu's expression turned even more unsightly. The aura flowing in his body inspired fear. Before Shimu, Xiaochen felt incredibly insignificant. However, at this moment, he decided to throw caution to the wind. Even if he died under the other party's palm strike, he would accept it. There were some things that Shimu was not in the wrong, so there was no need to compromise. Pussy. Just as Zhang Yushan and the others thought that Shimu would kill Xiaochen with one palm strike, Xiaochen vomited a mouthful of blood. After vomiting this mouthful of blood, Shimu's aged face looked even older. His body even wobbled somewhat. This stunned Xiaochen, somewhat at a loss. "Master!" Lu Benwei quickly leaped over and went to Shimu's side to support him. Chapter 2150. Fiendish saber Shimu appeared somewhat weak. However, he was a faux god after all. No one dared to underestimate him. However, they did not understand why he suddenly vomited blood. What a fellow! How dare he disrespect Master? Kill him! When Zhang Yushan saw the situation, he rejoiced in his heart. He knew that his opportunity had arrived. This was the best opportunity to kill Xiaochen. Killing Xiaochen would prevent Shimu from taking him as a personal disciple. Secondly, he would prevent anything from happening between Shimu and Lu Ruyue. This was killing two birds with one stone. Earlier, Xiaochen's all things rejoicing together had shocked them. If they allowed Xiaochen to condense a divine seal, how incredible would that be? Now was a good time to heavily injure Xiao Chun after he executed all things rejoicing together. Whoosh! Zhang Yushan and the other two were very scheming. With someone taking the lead, the other two immediately understood. The moment they attacked, they did not show any mercy, bringing out the full might of a half-step sovereign emperor. Before Lu Riyue could react, the three arrived above Xiao Chun and executed their killing moves, sealing off all angles of attack. No matter what Xiao Chun did, one of the killing moves would strike him. As long as he got struck, he would be severely injured. Then one more move would finish him off. Coincidentally, when Xiao Chun saw Shimu vomiting blood, he did not know what to do. He focused his attention on Shimu, not knowing what happened. By the time Xiao Chun reacted, the three had already arrived before him, holding the initiative. Xiao Chun could not help feeling enraged. These three were extremely shameless. Xiao Chun had always been a decisive person. He instantly analyzed the situation. These three were half-step sovereign emperors, their cultivation suppressing his. Furthermore, they executed their killing moves. Coincidentally, Xiao Chun had executed all things rejoicing together, draining his soul energy and veritable essence energy. Even if he brought out 120% of his strength, he would only be able to dodge the killing moves of two. Since that was the case, there was no point in dodging. Xiao Chun looked around and fixed his gaze on Zhang Yushan. Xiao Chun snorted coldly. Now, only Zhang Yushan remained in his world. Zhang Yushan's expression changed slightly. He saw a determined look in Xiao Chun's eyes. Xiao Chun's aura. This was a killing move that would not rest until Zhang Yushan was dead, even if they had to sacrifice two people's lives. That's right, Xiao Chun's plan was like this. Since he could not avoid this killer move anyway, so what if he took another one? It was better to die in glory than to live in dishonor. If they wanted to kill him, they had to be prepared to die first. Step down. However, just as this danger was about to erupt, Shimu shouted coldly. However, he did not move at all. Blood trickled down the corners of Zhang Yushan and the other two's mouths. They were sent flying at the same time. After landing on the ground, they tumbled a few times, looking extremely miserable. If I want to kill someone, it's not your turn to do it for me. The three of you will be imprisoned in the Thunder Saber prison for a month. Panic immediately flashed in the eyes of Shimu and the other two. The Lightning Saber prison was a saber prison that Shimu collected primal chaos lightning in the faux god world, and refined with his own strength. It was used to train disciples for experiential training. However, it was extremely horrifying inside. Staying there was torture. It was fine to train for 1 or 2 days. However, if one stayed there for a month, ordinary people would be half dead when they came out. However, Zhang Yushan and the other two had no choice but to obey. It was not easy for them to obtain the guidance of a faux god, allowing their strength to grow rapidly. Although they were just nominal disciples, many people outside begged to be the disciples of a faux god expert. They could not give up on this opportunity so easily. The three knelt and said, "Disciples know their mistakes. We will definitely obey Master's orders." The three felt dissatisfied, but they still obediently withdrew and headed for the Lightning Saber prison. Shimu looked at Xiao Chun and thought for a long time. Then he turned and left, not saying anything. Xiao Chun felt very confused. Sometimes, being able to distinguish right from wrong was not a good thing. As Xiao Chun looked at Shimu's departing figure, he felt somewhat guilty for some reason. Perhaps he had been too rash earlier, too rude. No matter what, Shimu was the one who gave him this inheritance painting. Earlier, when Zhang Yushan and the other two wanted to take the opportunity to kill him, Shimu dealt with it. Lu Riyue said softly, "To think that Master even gave you the inheritance painting. It looks like he really wants to take you in as his personal disciple." Xiao Chun felt slightly stunned. Then he turned his head and asked, "However, why did he suddenly change his attitude towards me?" Lu Riyue remained somewhat silent. She did not understand why Xiao Chun was so unhappy after Master gave him the painting, even though he clearly comprehended it. "I don't know. Master's temper has always been strange. Aside from first senior brother, no one can figure it out." Xiao Chun sighed in his heart, showing some worry on his face. He could tell that Shimu's expression was truly somewhat weak. The essence blood of a faux god was already very precious. Spitting out a mouthful would be fatal. Unless Shimu had a hidden injury that had yet to heal. A very serious hidden injury. Earlier, Xiaochen acted rashly, angering Shimu to the point that his hidden injury relapsed. This was not good. Xiaochen did not know what to do at this moment, so he appeared very dispirited. From what you said just now, your first master is already your lover? Just at this moment Lu Ruyue suddenly asked. When Xiaochen heard that, his originally dispirited heart immediately felt hurt. My lover is right before my eyes. Yet she is far away. Heaven knows, the earth knows, and I know. Only she does not know, yet she still asked this. After thinking for a long time, Xiaochen asked softly, Miss Lu, why do you ask this? Don't you know? My younger sister is deeply in love with you. Back then, she even wanted to ask the white dragon old ancestor to save you. I hope that you will not let her down, Lu Ruyue replied. If not for her, my father would not have interfered with the Golden Dragon Palace's line of sight, allowing you to leave the Divine Dragon Empire safely. When Xiaochen heard this, he guffawed. However, his laughter sounded somewhat sorrowful. Xiaochen felt heartache, not for himself but for Lu Ruyue. To think that she would say such a thing. The White Dragon Old Ancestor. Your memories are either the White Dragon Old Ancestor, or the White Dragon King. To think that you are speaking up for someone else. Back then, if I had the strength, I would have killed the White Dragon King first. As Xiaochen laughed, he stopped after a long time. Then he said sullenly, There is nothing between me and Ruyun that I let her down. It is just the relationship between siblings. After a few more years she will understand. Miss Lu, it is best that you don't say such things in the future. Lu Ruyue had good intentions, but Xiaochen rejected her decisively. There seemed to be more to this than met the eye. Lu Ruyue was an intelligent person. Xiaochen did not hide his expression from her. After some thought she asked, Young Master Xiao, you seem to have something that you cannot say? No. Xiaochen replied calmly. His expression did not change, but his heart bled. There were some things that he knew but could not say. If he said it, the White Dragon Old Ancestor would rush to the faux god world to kill him. Lu Ruyue would be in danger as well. Furthermore, saying it might not be of any use. I'll just watch you like this for now. When I become strong one day. Lu Ruyue immediately felt somewhat angry. Xiaochen clearly had it. Yet he said that he did not. I gave you a chance out of kindness. Yet you lied to me. Lu Ruyue snorted coldly and turned to leave. Xiaochen's mood sank to rock bottom. The matter of fiendish saber Shimu and Lu Ruyue. Xiaochen always thought that his mental state was already very strong. However, when it came to the weakest feelings hidden in the depths of his heart, he could not even withstand one blow. Xiaochen took out a bottle of moon-burning wine, and sat on the rubble expressionlessly, drinking alone. At the summit of the mountain peak, fiendish saber Shimu looked at the cloud sea. His weak expression appeared somewhat desolate. Shimu was an extremely stubborn person. He did not want to show this desolate expression before Xiaochen, only showing it now. The clouds shrouded the place, looking very majestic. Shimu had a head full of white hair, and an aged expression. He muttered, I thought that Pan Huang was the only bladesman in the world who could defeat me. Looking at it today, this is truly laughable, extremely laughable. Pussy. Before Shimu finished speaking, he vomited another mouthful of blood. This time he vomited blood 3 times in a row. Lu Benwei felt heartache as he watched from the side. He did not know how to advise Shimu. After a long time, Shimu muttered to himself, How can a drop of water shatter the firmament? Only with disrespect can one have the possibility to shatter the vault of heaven. Only with an unyielding heart can one endure 10,000 years of loneliness. And only then can one have the chance to shatter the vault of heaven. Only with an unchanging heart can a drop of water turn into an endless vault of heaven. As Shimu muttered to himself, he seemed to be speaking nonsense. At first, Lu Benwei did not understand. Slowly, he realized that his master was answering Xiaochen's question. Although Xiaochen did not understand, he firmly remembered it, not missing a single word. After Shimu finished speaking, Lu Benwei said, Master, I'll go and make arrangements for Xiao Chen's accommodations first. Shimu remained silent, not saying a word. Lu Benwei understood what Shimu meant. He performed a cupped fist salute and took his leave, heading down the mountain. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.